Call this meeting to order. Whereas as a former council president at the time of 6 p.m., be resolved this regular meeting be open for business at the Massey District Community Center in Arena, and that the minutes of the regular meeting of September the 22nd, 2021 be approved. And further, that in accordance with section 228-4 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, Ann Whalen is hereby appointed as acting clerk for the purpose of this meeting. Dale, you move it there?
So,
Pat, you'll second it there? All in favor? Carried. We shall now hold a public meeting pursuant to section 17 and section 34 of the Planning Act to consider amendments to the official plan and zoning bylaw. We've got a resolution here that the council meeting is now adjourned for the purpose of a public meeting. Mover and seconder. Kevin, you'll move it there, and Glenn will second it there. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that pursuant to section 34 of the Planning Act, the public meeting is now officially open for the purpose of hearing comments regarding the proposed amendments to the official plan and zoning bylaw as follows. File number ZBA 21-02 for the property in Harrow Township, lot 11, concession 4, parcel 9793 and 10718 at 665-82 LaConche Lake Road. File number OPA 21-01 and ZBA 21-03 for property in Helm Township, parcel 14252 and 14301 at 6 Meadow Street, Webwood. And file number OPA 21-02 and ZBA 21-04 for the property in Helm Township, plans in N38, lot 127 at 38 Mill Lake Road. Mover and seconder. Edith and Kevin here, all in favor? Carried. Advise as to the methods by which the notice of this meeting was given and the date that the notice was given.
The notice of this meeting, public meeting, was advertised in the Roundabout on September 7th, 2021, and was also circulated to the various prescribed agencies and landowners within 120 meters.
Any persons wanting further notice of the passage of the bylaw should give their name and address to the clerk prior to leaving the meeting. If there are any persons present who wish to make oral or written submissions on the proposed bylaw, please give your name and address to the clerk.
Yep. So we'll start with zoning amendment file 2102 for Harrow Township, 66582 LaConche Lake Road. The purpose of this application was to allow for increased building height. This property had originally a cottage on it that was destroyed by fire. Our bylaw allows for reconstruction as long as the gross floor area and building height are not increased. The owner at the time continued to rebuild, and they built an above-grade basement property, so they did increase the building height. So that's one aspect of this application, is to allow for that. The other part of this application is to apply for a reduced setback of the 30-meter for the septic system. This property is oddly shaped, and the distance required of 30 meters can't be met due to the buildings that are there and the way the driveway comes into the property. Our official plan requires that to approve a minor variance with the setback, reduced setback from the water, we need a report from a competent professional engaged in the science and design of subsurface sewage disposal systems that clearly indicates that a minor variance is justified. All I did receive from the applicant's contractor was just that there is nowhere else to put it. I don't have a report giving a justification other than that as to why we should permit the reduced setback. If council wants, I can pull another file where we had the applicant get approval from the health invest to the type of system that was required. Sunset Bay Drive, they were required to put in a pump tank. And because she was too close to the water, she couldn't meet the setback. The building was already constructed. So that's that application.
But this house was just built a few years ago, and every building permit there, and you've got to have your sewage permit there before it passed.
This was built without a permit, so that's one of the
Everything
issues.
was done.
This was done without a permit. They had submitted an application, but in the process and the requirements that we had, which is one is septic, those approvals weren't coming, and the property owner at the time went ahead and constructed. So he built not only, he rebuilt in the same footprint, but he increased the height of the building. So that put a stop work order on it, and the whole project is at a halt. And it's been sold, so the new owners are trying to rectify everything and get proper approvals.
But if you're looking at the drawing, it's only 67 feet there.
Yeah,
from the water.
these lots, when they were created for cottages, right? Back in probably in the 50s or whatever. They didn't look forward to people probably trying to live there and whatever else. So it is suggested that we defer this to get that report showing what type of system would be good for this, because we do have to protect our resources. That's our obligation. So that would be what we could do with this file, is defer it to another meeting until
I agree with you, Ann.
was received.
I agree.
So it included the health department?
They could, yeah, they can have a couple of options. They can either get something that shows from the health unit what would be suitable. Maybe a pump tank is what would work, and you would need, you're not having that field bed in there that's going to, so they could probably push it a little bit further. They may still need a reduced setback, but at least there's justification that this is going to contain everything, so we're not going to have that leaching. So, okay.
I would feel safer. There was one before where we had to deal with this kind of
Yeah.
issue, and it's safe to have the health unit involved or some kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I don't just want to let it go.
No, the health unit is definitely got to be involved with this.
Yeah, as Ann said, these lots originally were seasonal cottages, and so everything, we love to see development, but we have to follow protocol. So.
And Bobby Davis said there's another one that needs a septic system as well.
Yeah.
It affects the whole.
So that's the thing. It's not just one, right? It becomes multiple.
We're going to be running into this probably more.
The next application is OP Amendment 2101 and combined with zoning bylaw amendment 2103 for 6 Minto Street in Webwood. This application is to allow for a light industrial use to the existing residential zone. And this applicant is looking to they do precast concrete fireplaces. So you were given a bit of a rundown on how their operation works. Everything is done indoors. There is no outdoor activity. It's precast concrete that comes in and they do the assembly. I'm not sure if is someone here is Katie Elliott here? Oh, no, I'm looking for the applicant. No.
No, I
Okay.
thought they
So-
would be here,
Yeah.
but I want to talk about this. They were around a week ago Sunday meeting everybody like around in that area. They seem very pleasant people. And they give us like what their intentions were, which seemed very, very good. You want me to explain a bit to you what I know?
Sure.
So, what it is, they know the situation, glasses, they got cataract done, and they got these $2 glasses, I can see close, but I can't see cataract. But anyway, what they wanted to do was, they have a place in North Bay there now, and there's two families basically, like the guy there was a guy and this fellow, I forget his name. He come, him and his wife and a girl, and they went all around, and I got all the folders here. And they were very enthused. And so another family was gonna, like relation, was gonna move there too, and they're gonna fix up the far end for living in. And they were just gonna use the gym for their stuff. I asked a bunch of questions, which, why there are schools? Well, we said, basically Webwood School was, set them fine because the other schools that are for sale are all big schools, and that was just like the right size for them. They know it's going to cost them about $150,000 to do the roof because it's been leaking for 55 years. I know that because they used to come and patch it all the time, but they know the facts on it, on that part of it. They know how much he paid for it, how much they charged him for it, so they got all the fine figures like on that, and they seem like very good. Now, I've got a question here. Definition of light industrial. What is your definition of light industrial?
Okay, I can give you that.
Right?
It means a place of business for a small scale, self-contained plant or building which produces, manufactures, assembles, or stores a product which is contained in a package and has low probability of fugitive emissions, example noise, odor, dust, and vibration. Such industries operate in the daytime only with infrequent movement of products and or heavy trucks and no on-site storage. Examples include electronics manufacturing and repair, high technology industries, furniture repair and refinishing, beverage bottling, package and crafting services, small scale assembly, auto parts supply.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it fits.
So, I thought there'd be more here, but that part of it was the noise. Some of them say. Now I was talking to the people. It was okay. Like they said, that big yard out the back, if it was going to be put up with junk and stuff, but according to them, it's all basically inside. Now, another thing, before you make a decision, did anybody go and inspect the site? Like the building and then all around the site, like for if you okay it or if you don't? Is somebody going to, like, from the council, you're going to inspect the place? Like before you make your decision, if you have a yes or a no? Like a person, if you're going to make a decision, it should be, somebody of you should go and look at it or, like, feel it out. I mean,
As far as I know, Alvin, if it's personal property, we have to be invited to inspect. We're not allowed to go on
so
personal.
you can make a decision without even going near it.
It's about the change of the usage. That's what this is about, is the change of the usage.
Now, I
So,
asked the guy, like, personally, like, see if they backed out of it. Now, yous are gonna put it just, light, industrial. Now, if he backed out of it, like, what would happen then? It would still fall down on, like, light industrial, or it could be, years ago, remember that scrapyard in the middle of the town, which I don't know how, that was in the 50s, but anyway. Like,
This application is site-specific and specific to the assembly of precast fireplaces. So if they did not do that, then the next person coming along, unless they're doing the same type of business, they wouldn't be able to do
I
any
know
light
lots of times a lot of stuff goes astray though too.
Well, the bylaw would have that indicated in it to restrict the use specifically to that operation,
So it's not, and it would revert back to
just residential.
residential?
Yeah, and we're only adding light industrial as a permitted use within the residential. We're not changing the zone of the property, it's still residential zone, but allowing that use on that property specifically, and specifically that operation.
so Eldon, is all the neighbors there against this or for it?
Pardon me?
Is the neighbors for this or against it?
Well, like I wish them would come, no, they are for it because they want to get that idiot out of there. He called the cops on me 3 times already for trespass and they're even went near. But anyway, let me go a little more here. Okay, now, he's got 3 bush piles in that property, and and it's brush all over the place. So anyway, I got a hold of the fire chief to come and take a look, because it's a fire hazard. Like the grass in that place beside me finally got sold anyway, but it's nothing done yet. The grass that high. He's got a great big pile. It's a barricade out the back of the back of the property. So I got Paul to come, fire chief. I said, Paul, look at this. It's a fire hazard. It's up to the property standards. Okay. I got a hold of Richard. Richard, look at it. I said, it's against the bylaws. I said, your town bylaws. I said, to have that there. Like, what had happened? The school, the fence was right down the back, adjoining all our property. And then the school didn't put in about 30 feet of fence, so we've got a brush pile that high where the fence leads off over to the lot line. I mean, it's a fire, I'm trying to tell you, it's a fire hazard.
So Eldon, was this the past owner or this owner?
Pardon me?
Was it the past owner or this
Where's the
owner?
guy there now?
Present owner.
Present owner?
Yeah, the doper.
So I'm just gonna stop you, that's a property standards issue that we won't
I-
discuss here, for this purpose.
Pardon me?
So that has been dealt with the property standards officer, he is looking into that. So we won't discuss that, this is to do with the zoning, so unfortunately, we can't discuss property
Well,
standards issues
like I
in
said
public
now,
with names.
if this, you got me there, like, this, I got a hold of Richard,
Yes.
and I said, look at it, I said, it's a hazard, I even got the fire chief. Well, anyway, so I said, it's about, that you have those, now another thing, I hate to put this zone, whatever, on the new buyer, but something's gonna have to be done, because it's a fire hazard, like the property, about years ago when school had it, I got a little map here for you, anyway.
Well, Eldon, we're just dealing with the rezoning of it there.
Yeah, I know, but this gotta be done.
But we're dealing with that as we speak there now, so
Well, anyway, so no, like I said, the way use all got these papers from the guy? The fireplace papers?
yes.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, no, like I said, the people are basically for it, like but it's gotta be, like, I hate to see them have to clean all that back up, when the guy that's there now, it should be doing it. Because it's a fire hazard. It's gotta be, I'll give you the map here, it's gotta be cleared out at least 300 feet from the property line, look at on the west side, because we all got buildings along there, garages and stuff. If that catches fire, it could be gone, but that way there are all the fire hazards out west and all over.
Yeah,
You know,
we're
like,
rectifying that there, but we're dealing with the zoning.
yeah, okay, I'll just leave that for you.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, so as far as we're concerned, like the ones that I was talking to, and like I communicate with them quite a bit, and if they would say it's a go-go,
Well, that's good to hear.
you know, like I said, I wish some of you could go and just take a look at it, just to make sure that, well, you know what you're talking about.
But until the property is sold out, we can't even go there anyway.
Pardon me?
Until it's sold, we couldn't even go there
Yeah.
anyway. We could maybe get invited later
Yeah.
for an inspection of their operation and that, but at this
So,
point, we can't go.
have you got any, just the application from, these people? I wish I could remember his name, I thought somebody would be here tonight. Like to back themselves up or something, but according to them, when they went around talking to everybody, it seemed like
That's the
they're very
information you
pleasant
want.
people, and what they want to do is good. Like people are wondering, like before, that's why I asked you about the bylaws, like figured there's going to be a bunch of noise there, or dust and Smith and stuff, and all a bunch of scrap out in the backyard. So no, basically I would say, all the ones I talked the most, and it's a go-go, like, for that part. Because they have good plans, and they know it's gonna cost them a lot of money to do it, and they want to live in it, so you're gonna have two families living in it, plus that. So, I guess, anything else now?
No,
Thank you very much.
Okay, another little thing in that thing there, you see on First Street and George Street, like if you're going to be, the traffic there is going to be a little bit heavier than before, like on, George there now, the gravel's right across the road, like people don't go and sweep it off like I do. So there should be the curbs, like, where they turn in, it should be, put it more like pavement or something put in, because the gravel's right across the road. Like, it's still, that guy's got a big truck there, so he can't expect nothing else. But there's gonna be like, come in that way and out the other way, so those two corners should be built up on the inside.
Okay, we'll deal with that then. Anything else that
But have you got the people's name?
Yeah.
Yes, got everything.
Yeah.
You got everything.
Can you just give me his first name for,
Her name is Katie Elliott.
pardon me?
Katie Elliott.
Elliot?
Elliott.
No, I met him, had quite a chat there, and, like, I can't remember names. I even forgot my hearing aids, like, I got my $2 glasses though. Okay, is that it? Any more for me?
No, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Alvin.
And I read the report there, we're talking about Smith there, and they're not gonna dump it in our storm sewer, are they? The waste,
No, I don't think there is, the trucks come in, pour into the forms and that's
yeah,
it.
as long as no
Yeah.
waste goes in our storm sewer, because it'll plug it right up there.
No, I don't think there's any kind of,
Because when you mix it Smith.
they don't mix it, it comes in pre-mixed.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
all
but
those
they're washing
things
out
right
the
up.
equipment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you dump that in the storm sewer, then it's gonna block it and build up.
yeah. Well,
Um,
can we put some kind of
Stipulation,
restriction?
yeah.
Yeah,
We gotta make sure there that it doesn't block it there.
yeah.
Yeah, under their environmental effects of the business plan, they didn't really mention
No,
washing, so that might just be something they can amend and get back to us.
Well, we need to know about it,
Yeah,
yeah.
it sounds really, really well written.
Yeah.
Yes. Excuse me, this lady here has her hand up.
I just had a question about the other file, the first file. I
Yes.
didn't realize we could do discussion during. I'm the owner.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you Vicki?
Yes.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So the question I have is, we were cleaning up the yard about a week or so ago, and we were digging some things up, and there's actually terracotta field bed tiles or pipes in the yard, like buried. So does that have any effect on, like, I don't know if that's like a septic or what that entails, but when you go down, they're actually buried in the ground.
That's where you propose to put.
I don't, it's actually very close to where the gentleman wants to put it, but I don't know if that has any bearing. We just found them and weren't sure what to do with that.
When they tore the house down, maybe they bulldoze all that debris there and try to bury it.
No, there are some that are still on top, like full, and this is a full, like it's not broken.
Okay.
It's round, it's right there in the ground, but I don't know when it was buried or what it was for or how it was used. We don't know anything like that, but it looks like it was an old field bed system right there.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to being by a water course like that,
Yeah,
that'd have to be removed and something approved, put in place.
okay.
Public health will assist.
Yeah.
We've been dealing with we've talked to the public health and we want to do this the proper way, so we just want to make sure that we're doing it the way it should be. And I just have one other question, so I've never been to one of these before. Do we just wait now to hear about the two-story, or do we?
So the file, so pretty much I don't think there's an issue with the raised
Okay.
building, but because it's the combined application, so when we get that report, then the whole thing would be approved.
Okay, so none of it will get approved until that part gets approved.
That's right, yeah.
So
Okay.
the septic system is approved.
Okay,
So the sooner you can get that report
right,
to me, then
Right.
we can come back to council. We don't have to go through this process again. It would be a matter of them approving the application and passing the bylaw.
okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
The shed on your property, would that give you more room there for a septic system there?
Pardon me?
The shed you got on your drawing, would that give you more room for your septic system?
The shed. It might, I don't know. I don't know.
I think the problem is the further you go back, then you're into your driveway, is that
Yes.
correct? Yeah,
Yeah,
because the driveway comes in.
Yeah.
The elevation drops quite a bit.
yeah, the elevation drops quite a bit right when, where the house is, the elevation to down to the lake is there. And I think our setback was gonna be like 80 feet from the water instead of 100 feet from the water. That was the difference that the setback was going to be reduced by. And then the distance from the house, because the distance from the house to the neighbor's yard was, there's a deck that's built there. So if we go from the deck, we're in the neighbor's yard. If we go from the house, we're in our own yard, which is the issue for that side setback, side to south.
So the deck is infringing on the neighbor's property?
Nope, but you have to be 15 feet from the deck.
Yeah.
And then the width of the septic system would be on the neighbor's property.
Oh.
So if we didn't have to go 15 feet from the deck and went 15 feet from the house, the septic would be on our property. And that's one of our issues.
That's a couple of small lots in
Yeah.
that area.
Okay, so I will get the health unit and we will get you that paperwork.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so I'll go to the next file, which is for property on 30 Aggie Lake Road. This application is to allow for agricultural use as a permitted use in the residential zone. The applicant wants to have a couple of horses on her property. So there is no, when it comes to OMAFRA and the minimum distance separation requirements, it doesn't apply because MDS is not required in settlement areas. So, but it is recommended that maybe we look at setbacks and water quality, because people do draw from sand points and wells in the area, and it is a residential area. So if there's anybody that wants to speak on this in the audience tonight?
I have a letter from Kathy.
Yeah, okay.
Kathy says, recently I received a letter from the township stating that a public meeting was being held on this day concerning proposed official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment that once approved would allow for agricultural use in the residential zone for the purpose of keeping horses. I have property within a 120-meter radius of the subject property and would like to comment that since the person applying for this amendment has purchased the property, they have been upgraded 100% in my opinion. Therefore, I believe in keeping horses, they would be doing the same. And I hope the township takes this into consideration and approves the passing of this bylaw. So the total amount of property is 4 acres.
No, she has two lots, one adjacent to the other.
3 acres and 4 acres.
Yeah,
right?
it's the property with the house. So it's the property with the house that is actually the subject property.
Okay.
There are some considerations to take in, as I said, with water quality. You've got residential uses in the area. There are lots that are have been created for residential development. And it's unfortunate that she's on the line. She's on the residential side, the west side is the rural side. I would like to recommend maybe deferring this file as well, so that we could get more information on setbacks from what should be from property lines, from wells, possibly having a containment area for the horses, and really to know what she is going to do with the manure, because it can't just stay on the property. It's going to accumulate over time. So we have to know what would be done with that. And there's different options that they could investigate and come back with that kind of a plan.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
And is it gonna be site-specific
It will be,
to an animal?
it would be site-specific for keeping of horses and to a maximum of 3. Even when I did the MDS calculation using the software from Omafra, it's very negligible with the nutrients that the horses would produce, but we still have to consider that water quality and neighboring residential uses, so.
Because you don't wanna get this swine in that area there, it's gonna really affect.
No,
the
so
water.
no, this
Be
was,
sure they're-
yeah, this would be site, similar to the one on Minto, it would be site-specific for specific use. So as I said, I'd like to defer that one as well, if we could, to that
Water
decision.
quality is definitely an issue there. But if we've got some guidelines, then that'd be good.
Can I just say I did submit something to council as a adjacent property owner to that one? So I did have concerns, but I don't want to speak on it.
So does anybody else have anything they want to, yes?
Yeah, I wrote a letter to the council about this property at the old public school.
Yes.
Did you get it?
Yes, it's in the file, it's been received, it's been circulated to council.
I'm not like Illinois, against it completely. We don't have very much residential property in Westwood. And what we have next to it is beautiful. And I'd hate to see a light industry go in there. And anybody that I talked to was not in favor of having that go in there. And I got a letter from the people, I guess they're around, but I wasn't home. And I think they're gonna have 2 loads of cement come into the property twice a week. Well, the only way they can access that is down that, I don't remember the street that leads up to it. George Street. So we're gonna have 2 loads of cement come down George Street. So is that gonna be a truck route now? Or what? Something's gotta be done here. I'm not in favor of that at all, going into light industrial. It is a residential area, and it sure would be a lot nicer to see houses in there. So I can't see it. What's township gonna do if they do take it over? Gonna let that street be the truck route?
If it's past there, that's what will happen.
Sure it will. And it's right through a residential area. But anybody I talked to wasn't in favor at all. One fellow shows up. Although I know there's 2 that I guess didn't have a certificate for the needles, but everybody that I've talked to was not in favor of it.
And the extra noise.
We got one of the nice residential areas right there.
What I read here is all the operations gonna take place indoors,
Where?
indoors.
Yeah, but just the traffic.
Is it gonna be dumping cement inside?
The pavement.
Well, we've got a picture, a photograph here of the cast or the forms inside, a roll-up door with the trough from the concrete truck, pouring through that. And I thought I read somewhere there's just a small amount comes in, just like not a whole truck full, just.
No, right on their thing here,
And daylight operations.
it says 2 loads twice a week.
That's just the cement coming in, but what about once they're made?
Yeah, what's
Shipping
going
out.
out?
So the regular upland shipment
Right.
is a lighter load, so I
Right.
don't think that the
The other one on
equipment
small
that
too.
would be any louder than Jesus school buses.
They're gonna have.
I did find it here. Sorry.
Well,
Could I ask your name as well, please?
Wayne Willards.
Okay, thank you. It says here our cement deliveries are generally between 2 to 4 cubic meters each, which is less than half load, of course. 2 to 4 meters, it's not very much concrete, so as far as a load on the road, that doesn't concern me, that small amount here. And it talks about our shipping equipment is 3 to 5 ton trucks and trailers which qualify to operate even during half-load restrictions and do not require heavy asphalt. The regular outgoing shipment is between 5,000 and 10,000 pounds.
Well, are they, who wants this permit? Is it these people that are building the culverts, or is it the real estate people?
The applicants here are shown as Matthew and Katrina Elliott.
Is what?
Matthew and Katrina Elliott.
They're a
They
small
must be
fam-
people
they're a
that-
small family-based business operation that make, like, they look like decorative outdoor fireplaces.
Oh, for sure.
It's not a large industrial setting, it's kind
It's
of.
gonna turn into it.
It would be even if it was approved, they would be able to, it can't turn into it.
It can't.
Not if it's something.
I tell you, once they get in there, you're gonna see it go ahead. It's gonna be a heavy-duty industrial place.
This
And-
bylaw is site-specific and specific for light industrial, and there is definitely parameters on that they cannot go over. So,
Like the Flair Canada. Now, there's a lot of Flair outfits. And the mother company may be in British Columbia, Saskatchewan. I see somewhere here in
North
their
Bay.
information.
North Bay is what it says.
But there are companies that go from fireplaces to cement blocks, concrete molds, cement fences, smokestacks, cement culverts, et cetera, on and on and on. And that's what's gonna happen to this place, guaranteed. And it starts with Flair, if anybody took the time to look it up on the computer.
our township is trying to promote small businesses, and the parameters of this light industrial application show that this could remain a small business. And if they choose to expand, then they would have to reapply and look at other things, because
think-
this would be specific.
It'll be like everything else. Once they get their foot in the door, oh, it's gonna be a whole different story.
But we gotta go on the applicant's word there,
Pardon?
we gotta go on the applicant's word, what they're planning on doing, so we know it's liable to change everything.
Well, they're gonna build fireplaces right off the bat,
If it changes.
but
it
that's
has
not
to
where
go-
they're gonna stop at. I
Well,
guarantee you.
if it changes though, it has to go through us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, don't laugh.
Well, laugh. What people do in Webber, everybody does what they want to do.
We're trying to promote small businesses and.
Well,
and
promote it in
trying
a
to keep
business
our
area, not in
infrastructure.
a residential area.
This, if Ann read the definition of the light industrial, and you would understand that this is not, it's not going to be taken out of context. It's just an amendment to a residential.
I'd sure like to see it. A lot of other people, but a lot of people come here unprepared. It's all right there, but I have to go home and get his.
What if I was told they were building barbecues? That's a far, well, what paperwork? Was any paperwork sent out to the residents of Whitman?
I got a whole bunch of.
I didn't get anything. I live there, I
I
pay
called
my
mine
taxes,
today.
$2,000 a year.
I got mine, a week ago, 10 days ago. They come around on a Sunday.
But with people,
Yeah, people come.
nobody came to my house.
Did they leave?
Okay, we heard your objection, you're against their,
Wait,
Pardon?
Yeah.
that's fine.
So I will just point out, the council does have an option there. The official plan does have a section that says that we could require a technical study, that any adverse effects are clearly and fully mitigated to the satisfaction of council.
Can't have chickens here.
We could also require that.
I didn't hear any of that, Elliot.
Yeah.
Talking
I
about
was with that in my residence.
I was just saying that the council does have an option to require the applicant to provide, through a technical study, that any adverse effects are clearly and fully mitigated to their satisfaction before approving this file. So like your concern about the truck traffic and noise and that they could be required to have a report done, if council so wishes, to be sure that any of that is mitigated before it's approved.
Plus my water
Yes.
going into the storm sewers.
And this is right on their thing.
That pavement there is so thin, that it wouldn't take heavy loads for very much. They put a coating on it there.
So what Ned was saying, we can ask for a study and an assessment,
But like I said on that
pull out
paper,
any issues.
like I said on that paper, the corner's gotta be fixed up, otherwise there'll be no pavement left.
Okay, that's got nothing to do with this application here. It's our road problem here.
We're not worrying about the pavement, we're worried about that property, I believe. You know, I'm way off on the wrong line, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I'd like to go that way there.
Yeah.
Okay, we understand your objection.
Yeah, and then everything's taken into consideration before council makes the decision. So all your concerns, anyone else's concerns, are taken into consideration before a final decision is made.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
I bought there 8 years ago because it was a small town.
Could you step up here, sir, if you don't mind, so we can hear you? Can you tell us who you are as well?
My name is Scott Moulton.
Scott?
Moulton. I moved there 8 years ago because it was a small, quiet town, close neighbors. It's bad enough the traffic on the highway with the transports doing their engine brakes coming through town. Now we're gonna have a small business 4 houses down. Truck traffic coming in, that's corners on George Street and whatever the other street is, they're 90-degree corners. How is a truck and a trailer make around those corners? So is all manufacturing going to be indoors or is it going to be outdoors?
I don't understand it to be a truck and trailer if it's 3 to 5
Well,
tons.
how are they hauling their cement forms? There's going to be a truck and trailer. So a
It's
5-ton
stated
truck with a
3 to 5.
30-foot trailer?
Well, a 5-ton truck is a truck, it's a truck without a trailer.
Well, they said truck and trailer. I heard you say.
I didn't say truck.
Yeah, it's truck and trailer they're saying in your application there.
That's what they're calling it, five-ton truck.
Well, a
But
truck-
I don't think they understand that it can be interpreted as a transport. I think they're saying
Yeah,
it's a five-ton truck.
A 5-ton truck's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the size of a
It
transport.
did state that all manufacturing would be indoors.
All indoors, nothing outside.
Nothing outside.
So they'll back their truck into their building
Yep.
and they're loaded in the building. There's going to be no loaders or no equipment outside. No
Mention a 906.
storage forklifts.
It mentioned a 906 cat loader, I thought here,
Oh.
which is a small utility loader.
Is it really? No, it's not. A 906? That's a big piece of equipment. It's not your farm tractor
I
size.
didn't say residential or farm, but it's not a big loader.
A 906, well, I know, okay, I disagree with you there.
Okay,
So that's going to be running 6 hours a day?
Well, the work's indoors, and once the cast is dry, from what I read here, that's when they're gonna have to take it outside and pallet it and have it ready for shipping.
okay, before we pass it there, they gotta address our concerns there and we'll be right back here. So,
Okay.
And we understand that you have
So,
objections.
so that,
I know nothing about what's going on there. I didn't get any paperwork. I didn't have anybody knock on my door. As far as I know, they were making barbecues.
Well,
Big difference.
these look like outdoor cookers.
Outdoor fireplace.
Oh, yeah.
So I was told that they were concrete culverts today.
You have my paper.
Wow.
That was so called, yeah. So
That's-
nobody knows what's going on.
Well, we did receive photographs,
Nobody mentioned anything about culvert.
Well, I didn't receive anything.
and those are
You didn't get a notice as a property owner within,
I got that paper
The notice of the
saying
meeting.
that there was going to be a meeting.
yes,
There was no,
yes.
none of this.
The applicant's obligation is to do a public consultation study to that was their obligation, is to meet with the neighbors, which they did do some. I don't know, we don't tell them who they have to see or how they do it. They just provide us with what they're doing, and she did indicate that they would be going door to door, speaking with their neighbors.
Okay,
And
well, they
providing
didn't come to
them
my
that
house,
they
they
were
didn't
going
come
to
to my
see.
neighbors. So they're doing half-ass job of telling us what's going on. How are we to believe what the truth is?
Well, they'll have to address our concerns, and that's one of the concerns, or even the neighbors want to know what's going on. So
Yeah, we would like to know what's going on.
So we're requesting that they prove that they're not going to have a negative impact on
Yeah.
anything in your
Noise,
community.
traffic.
So that's what council is requesting before we move ahead any further,
Okay.
okay?
And will we be notified of what
If
they
you want
say?
notification, leave your name with my assistant, and you'll get written notification.
Okay, because
Send me one too, please.
it's a residential area, it's not an industrial area. And, I mean, putting a business in 50 feet from someone's house or less, there's gonna be noise. Definitely there's gonna be noise.
Are you right on Minto or First?
I'm on Webb Lane, which is the little, I looked out my back window and I could see the school.
Yep.
I don't know.
thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Any councilors got any concern for?
I agree with what you're proposing there, is that we look into this further, so we can mitigate any concerns or issues that we have before we move ahead with this.
And now we know that there are objections to this.
Like, I wouldn't want to see it escalate into something bigger and noisier. But if it's not gonna be any noisier than a schoolyard full of kids.
And the schoolyard buses, I have to, they are 45 minutes in that school twice a day. When the
There's
school
nothing I
comes,
read in
I've been
there
there
that
17
will
years,
take it with.
and
So
they go down first, so it's nice.
So-
Okay,
the road may be an issue, but we'll deal with that after. So, like, we'll see what they come back with.
that's all we can do with all of it.
Yep.
Okay, the public meeting is now officially closed, and the council meeting is reconvened there. Move on to second. Kevin, Mayor, and Pat. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Whereas council is satisfied that notice were given in accordance with the Planning Act respecting zoning bylaw amendment file number 21-02 for the property in Harrow Township, Lot 11 in Section 4, Parcel 9793 and 10718 at 665-8 to LaCrosse Lake Road, and whereas sufficient information has been made available for the public to understand generally the proposal being considered and due consideration of the proposed bylaw has been given, be it resolved that decision shall be deferred pending receipt of a report prepared by a competent professional engaged in the science and design of a subsurface sewage disposal system that clearly indicates that a minor variance is justified pursuant to section 4-10-5 of the official plan. Effect of public submissions, none received. Move on to seconder. Linda and her needed there. All in favor? Carried. Whereas the council is satisfied that the notice were given in accordance with the Planning Act respecting official plan amendment file number 21-01 and zoning bylaw amendment file number 21-03 for property in Howland Township parcel 14252 and 14301 at 6 Maple Street, Redwood. And whereas sufficient information has been made available for the public to understand generally, the proposal being considered and due consideration of the proposed bylaw has been given. Be it resolved that decision shall be deferred until it is clearly demonstrated through technical studies that any adverse effects are clearly and fully mitigated to satisfaction of the council pursuant to section 4-7-2-B of the official plan. Effect of public submissions there, and there was a few people there concerned with this. Yeah. Mover and seconder. Kevin and Patrick, all in favor? Carried. Whereas council is satisfied the notice were given in accordance with the Planning Act respecting official plan amendment file number 21-02 and the zoning bylaw amendment file number 21-04 for property in Hallam Township Plan M38 Lot 127 at 38 Lake Road. And whereas sufficient information has been made available for the public to understand generally the proposal being considered and due consideration of the proposed bylaw has been given, be it resolved that the decision shall be deferred pending a report detailing setbacks from the property lines and wells, animal housing requirements, and manure management. Effective public submissions, decision deferred. Glendon, Dale, all in favor? Carried. Okay, be it resolved that items A1, G1, and G3 contained in the consent agenda be adopted. Anybody got any concerns there tonight? Mover and seconder? Pat here and Kevin, all in favor? Carried.
So next is the Washington Hills Association meeting minutes to be accepted.
In regards to the Lost Hills there, Neil brought it up there in regards to policing there, was it discussed there what's going on in the posh area there?
There was some discussion, but since then, I noted in some of the reports that I received that they're actually putting up more policing in this area.
By what means?
They added 3 more to the detachment, like through the area. They've added a total of 6, I believe, throughout the area.
The area being the
Our,
portals?
yes, our foot area.
Well, that's encouraging.
Yes, it is.
When did we see that?
About a week ago, I've got an email from the minutes of the meeting. It was just like I'm sure Tim would have gotten it, but it was notified that they had some new graduates, so now they're being able to bolster their roster of services here.
Okay, great.
Because it's gonna come there, that the residents are gonna start taking it in their own hands, they're going to be breaking enters happening.
That's right.
But we haven't seen a police car on our back road over 2 years now. And we used to see them at least once a month.
And there was an overall shortage, you were mentioning, of applicants and graduates into the policing industry, so we can't buy what there.
That's right, and it's Ontario-wide, and we'll get a few more officers.
Try to open it up for more applicants to become police officers, but there's just none by. There was a private security guard hired in Leadwood. I don't know who hired them, I can't say exactly, but they were seen throughout the summer, driving around, doing patrols, doing inspections.
Really?
They were a team of 3. They were privately hired by somebody that wanted presence to be felt, and it seemed to be quite effective on where the lady used it. They hired private security just to have a presence, so that's another, I don't know.
Well, as long as it's just for presence, I have a reservation.
But it was for her own, it was her own build, like her home, because she wasn't living in the area.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like, but it had like a nice ripple effect of security feeling for people nearby, to be like, okay, somebody's,
That's okay.
you know, they're watching that house,
As long as
if
they
they fall,
are
they'll call
over
911, you know?
seconds.
No, they didn't do anything, it was just a presence.
Excuse me, that private security firm, were they not hired by the company putting the curbs in? I only seen them sitting on the highway.
They were not hired by
It
that.
started before that, I think.
It started before that.
Oh, I thought
Because it's a
It was
dangerous.
just kind of, I think, the circumstance of the timing.
Okay, be resolved that attached to the Clark Hills Municipal Association meeting minutes of June the 8th and September 27, 2021 be accepted here. Anybody got any other concerns? Dale and Kevin, you're moved here? All in favor? Carried.
The next item is the fire pumper. We're gonna phone, the fire chief isn't available to be here tonight, but we're gonna phone him, and that's what the speakerphone is out for.
We really don't need it, because we know we got fixed it there, so has anybody got a concern? It's gotta be fixed there, it's gotta be
Yeah,
safety issue.
the only issue I had with sending it to council was it was over the threshold.
I realize that,
So, yeah, I don't have any issue.
because it's gotta be fixed, a safety issue there, and we don't want another,
Well, and if we ship it out, it's gonna cost more.
Yeah, yeah, at least when it stays here in Massey, they don't have to take as much off. And can you imagine all that extra mileage on that old truck,
Yeah.
like all the way down to Toronto and that? That's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
no, never mind.
I'll make the motion that we approve that repair on truck 415.
Is it okay if I question for a little bit?
Sure.
I was just
Yes,
gonna say,
please.
you don't want him on
Yeah.
standby.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, we don't want somebody to get hurt there, and we're sitting back there and not getting it.
Thank you first.
Okay, be resolved that repairs to the fire pumper number 415 be approved as recommended by the fire chief there. Over the second, Glenn is there, and Dale, all in favor? Carried.
The next is correspondence that was received from the building department. And I don't know if there's anything else that we can add to this. But the building inspector has been trying to enforce the zoning, which talks about trailers on individual lots without a main use building. And without the benefit of knowing exactly, I guess it doesn't really matter, I suppose, that we know which property it is, but,
But I think there that any municipal employee, before you start entering private property, you should be letting the landowner know that you're coming. Because the trailer ain't gonna disappear overnight there, or the building ain't gonna disappear, or whatever he's looking at. So it's upsetting people in municipalities there, that people are coming on private property and
but he
causing.
does have that authority.
I totally understand, but we discussed this there a few years ago when I got marked on my property there for no just reason there. And we brought it up to council, and council said, yeah, before people enter your property, they should at least give you a notice, phone you, and say, by the way, you're going down to see your herb, you mind being present there, and we'll discuss the problem. Simple.
I remember that as well. I believe we had stated that at that time. I don't believe, I'm not sure if it was in writing or not, but it is a courtesy to do that, regardless of the situation, to at least notify them.
Well, what if a property is posted appropriately for no trespassing? That no individual has the right to go on it, or no one has the place on fire.
What he's also done is left his card at gates, left his card, and we've had people call, come back and say, got your card, and they've been quite cooperative. And-
See, I think the whole trailer thing is scaring a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
Because of regulations and real municipality. But I mean, why are you getting so upset? You've got to hide here, and we don't even know where this property is, or. I found it very strange.
I
But
also
do
received,
agree- I do agree with the card
Yeah.
situation there. It would be better to go with the records at the township office, get a phone number, and do it that way.
I received a phone call from a gentleman in regards to that. I guess he had several trailers on his property, and he asked me what we're going to do about it, and that this person had showed up and put tickets on, or whatever, on their, some of the trailers, and I said, well, I think the best bet would be to contact this gentleman and see what this is all about. You know, we as counselors don't have those answers, but we can look at this as looking forward, you know, have that even notify them. You know, you don't necessarily, in his position, have to get permission, but at least to notify him
Well,
that he's looking at it would be a good thing.
make contact with you.
Yes.
And maybe we should be looking at these trailers, if there's 3 or 4, have they got a suitable waste disposal site on the property? Did they set it all up to do all this there?
Yeah.
And can we work something out with the individuals there that are causing this?
Well, and.
That's the problem. Our official plan and our zoning says that you can't have 3 or 4. You
Yeah,
can
I
have one as an
realize
accessory.
that,
to
yeah.
it. So unless council wants to start revamping our zoning,
Said what?
it says one as an accessory. So you have to have a main use. You can have your camp there with a trailer. That's right.
But there's some that don't even have a building.
That's right.
There's lots,
Many,
Yes.
yeah.
there's lots.
So, you
And
know,
that's breaking our rule.
that's right. And people are getting upset about it, but again, they have to be responsible just like everybody else. So, you know, I think they should be educated about what the rules are. I think that's an important step. Don't be negative about it. Educate people about what's allowed and what's not allowed.
So do we need to draft a letter to send to these people? No.
Well, that's the building, I mean, if that's how you want the building inspector to handle this instead of what he's been trying to do. He's trying to do
Yeah,
sort of a gentle,
yeah.
here's my card, give me a call so we can talk, rather than going and sending official letters and saying, look, you've got to toe the line and this is what has to happen.
You're gonna have people that are, you know, and it wouldn't matter what you did.
That's right.
They're not going to react very well to these things, so I think just to have a standard, you know, if he's tried to make contact, then he's tried to make contact, and he's doing his job.
Well, we certainly don't want little bitty trailer parks all over the place.
And it's
a
there, it's
sanitation.
there.
What's happening?
It's
It's a
there.
sanitation issue, yes, and I know it's there.
Yes, it's an environmental issue, for sure.
My concern is, are we following the municipal act and some of this stuff is legally under?
That's a lot of that's not really relevant to this. I mean, it's a lot of legislation that was spewed out in that email that really is, it's taken out of context. So you have to see what those sections of the legislation are applying to. They don't apply in this situation.
But you go up the road, you're on Crown land, and you put the trailer there for X number of weeks there, and,
That's right.
yeah, so.
Well, maybe this is gonna push us into a new bylaw here, I don't know.
Well, you know, I've seen a few trailer parks, so to speak, you know, that concerns me, you know, and they don't leave, and they're there, and they're parked for the next year, and on and so on. You know, it's one thing to have two, maybe, whatever, but the laws are the laws. So like I said, education is the key.
Yeah.
This is what it is, you know, it's education because we are moving ahead, you know, it's like everything from like the cottagers wanting to build, you know, going from seasonal to, full year round. So it's education. We need to get that education out there so we can have happy people.
And I think he's doing it in a gentle way, dropping
Yeah.
it because it's hard to make a call, but he's going to, unfortunately, you know, I've seen trailers, just one, but they're gonna live there all year. Make no doubt about it. They have outright plans, this is what they're doing, and no matter what it said, he's going the next way, he's going to be attacked because he's going to do the horrible job. I think that's what it comes down to.
He's the bad guy.
He's the bad guy because
It's making
he
them
has to
accountable.
come with the rules. So I don't see anything wrong with what he's done personally.
I think we should support Jeff totally.
It's being accountable, really.
Yep.
You know,
Yes,
But a telephone call to start might be a better.
if that's possible.
Yeah.
Well, and if you get a response as well, and if not, then.
But a lot of times you don't have the telephone number of the person that owns the property because it's a cell phone and it's,
So you
Who
can send a
knows
letter
where?
then,
Yeah.
you can send a letter and then he's got a paper trail.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it's a necessary part of a job, so.
but if there was 2 trailers on the property, let's say 2 or 3 there, and they're nice and neat and tidy, and sewage was being taken care of there. And if there was a flat rate that the municipality charged per year for a trailer there, it would make the landowner there, the municipality happy, somewhat.
Has anybody seen what was in the roundabout regarding Espinosa's council and trailers?
Well, Manitou now is going through the same thing
They were
right now.
talking about a $500 a year fee, and they had reduced $1,000 proposed. I think it's still in the works, but I read that a week or two ago.
But I don't know if that allows you to park on your property, like vacant property. I think that's just to be able to have your trailer in the yard.
So I took it to be
I'll
forever.
have a better look at that, but I agree, Les. Maybe we have to look towards something like that.
Well, we
Because
want-
you know what? If it's done properly, I can see a couple of trailers on a piece of property. If they're taking care of the waste, what harm to do it? It's no different than a camp,
Well, the only difference between that and a camp is a camp has assessment and we generate revenue.
Yes.
So these people are still using the services that we provide, garbage pickup and everything else, but we're not getting the tax base from that. That's the issue, that with trailers, there's no revenue.
Yeah, and how many trailers do we allow on a piece of property then? You know,
I wouldn't allow more than two. It's something we can think about.
but already on the river road, there's more than two on a lot of them.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. On First Lake Road, too?
But where one of them trailers is, there's a house being built there next spring.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, so,
Then it's an accessory, so that conforms with our plan.
There's the building permit and apply for it. Isn't that, yeah, good?
Mr. McCormick's relative had a trailer there, and he went and bought the house there after the fact, so.
Yeah, and then you have people that say that I've said, and I will not name names, but have said to me, well, I have these trailers on my property, did they pay my taxes? So, you know, that's like an income, so then.
Yeah,
it
they're
should
like,
be
or they're letting
assessed as a
somebody else
service.
squat on their property.
Yeah.
basically,
You know, so
That's a
there's
business.
a good, exactly, so,
That's a
you know,
business.
there's all kinds up there, so how do you
How do you buy trailer
that?
parks?
Yeah.
Like, where does it stop?
Can I, I'm concerned about, yeah, there's the nice neat trailers, but in our township, there's also a problem with,
Yeah.
like, fire hazards and people living in trailers on vacant lots that is not safe, in my opinion.
Within the towns and on the back roads.
Well, that tells me we gotta come up with something here. Something.
Because you don't want to see every little vacant piece of property, you've got a little 10 by 10 shack there, two of them in a row. And you don't get nothing, but you get a mess. So you,
And we've already had one fire.
Has this individual been contacted by our office? It's sent this letter
It's
regarding.
Alicia Roy.
Well, Kim had corresponded back and forth with her, and that's pretty much where it was left. She wanted this to come to council, and it has. There's nothing further that council wants, just.
well, let's come to think about it there, and maybe there we start
Like I
talking.
said, we have to come up with something. If it's a, like you said, if it's a flat rate per trailer per year, then we're getting some kind of revenue on the property.
And give us a site plan, what you're planning on there, and
Whether, yeah, whether it's vacant or not,
Yeah.
because once you do that,
Well,
that's.
then we know it's there. Now, as far as getting into municipal numbers, that, I gotta know about that.
okay, we'll think about it there. and
Okay, yeah, for next meeting.
Okay,
Any ideas are welcome.
in regards to the River Road railway crossing, did you see the correspondence? Starts at 4,500 US there to get the application looked at.
Yeah,
Plus.
yeah, that's,
Plus we gotta build it, plus we gotta take the liability.
Yeah,
I did receive today some additional correspondence from,
If you,
from Lucy Martin. So the concern about the traffic with so what he's saying is that there's only one horse-drawn bus that brings children from the east in the morning and returns again in the afternoon for the children's ride home. The only bikers arriving are leaving from school, they use River Road towards Walford. So the issue of the horses on the highway goes beyond just the school. Like the first letter that when they talked about having problems turning is just for the ones in general that live there. So they're only going to be an additional, like a bus. It's not going to be multiple buggies going. So it's not really increasing the traffic that's already going down River Road and using that intersection. I think is the point of his most recent note that I just got today.
Did you say it was a horse-drawn bus?
Yes, horse-drawn bus. Brings children from the east in the morning, goes back again at night. And the ones on bike come using the River Road. On bicycle.
I'm sorry, from the east on the highway east, or,
Yeah. So
so like
from
from
Mass.
Railroad?
Yeah,
So
bring it
so
down,
there's only one horse-drawn bus that comes down River Road, comes from the east in the morning, goes down, and it goes back at night. And then anybody that's on bicycle is coming from River Road. They're not coming on the highway to get to that proposed school.
So at the end of the day, it's not a turn west by that.
No,
bus.
it'd be back east, so it'd be easy at night,
Yeah.
but it's the morning would be going in, which, I mean, they're having the issue anyway.
Yeah.
Regardless if they put a school, they still
Well,
have
and
that
if it's
issue.
one vehicle and it's not multiple funders, then that changes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And they can stop and wait for traffic.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Well, it gets dark at 5 o'clock. I wonder if we should push to get a street light put over there.
I don't think they're not in school that late. They're same as, we meet them
No, I
at
understand.
4
It's just,
o'clock, yeah.
I just consider it a dangerous intersection with an automobile with that traffic coming over the overpass. And like I said, the last meeting, that's not even a 90-degree turn. You're almost turning 180 to get off the streets, off the highway onto that road. Maybe we should consider a petition for a street light there for the safety of all. That would be one benefit, because again, at 5 p.m. come January, pretty dark.
Petitioning for a street light, it's us that's gonna pay for it.
I understand.
but a vehicle there coming off River Road and going west there, you're taking your life in your hands there. Sometimes people go over that little grade there.
Yeah, you can't see them right till the last minute, yeah.
And half the vehicles still on the road.
That's right, and if the traction's poor at the intersection, like it is often, then why not for long in your nail?
So then that streetlight would illuminate where that crossing is, giving you a visual clarity.
Just,
Okay, in
Good
regard,
luck, good luck lighting the street lights.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, in regards to the bylaw there that James Sauter there, everybody want to pass it, or what do you want to do? To build the school.
So we have to deal with the consent application, and make a decision one way or the other. So it's up to council if they want to approve it.
Well, it's too bad Huron Central can't give us a little more definitive.
They won't do anything until you give them $4,500
Yeah.
and
Yes.
get an application, yeah.
Which is more than
Is council interested in pursuing that at all?
Crossing.
That crossing?
Sure would be nice to have a little bit more correspondence with these people. I mean, like Les said, if we're just throwing the money there with no assurances that, if somebody in an office is gonna say, nah, forget about it.
Well, like you said, the cost, the construction, all will be the municipality's cost and the liability. And I think there was something with the requirements for
And it's not just for horse and buggy, it'll be for
No, it'll be
everybody,
everywhere.
and that
That's
adds to the cost to do.
Yeah. So you need, minimum requirements for general liability is 2 million per occurrence and 6 million aggregate for the terms of the written contract.
It's too bad it was taken out in the first place.
They pretty well don't want you crossing their tracks.
That's right.
Well, it's a safety hazard.
There's lots of other crossings that are safety hazards.
Well, I know,
Or the
but
one on Graham Road.
there's lots
There.
of people that cross the
Yeah.
tracks with, it into their property, but still,
Yeah,
you know, the onus is on those people,
that's right.
not on the municipality.
I mean, we can continue to, get it, push MTO to improve that intersection, like, so maybe lighting, maybe widening, like, I think one of the suggestions that Nancy Martin had was, moving the guardrails so there is a little more room for them to be pulled over. Because they can't really sit in a turning lane, so with the horses, with traffic going by on either side, that the horse probably wouldn't do well.
It looks like a pile of engineering to do any widening there.
Yeah.
There's no overpass, but
Their horses are pretty bulletproof horses.
Yeah.
I bet we had horses for a long time. Those horses are,
Some of them are.
Yeah.
but it's still an animal and it's.
That's what we're talking about.
There's
Exactly.
a few that aren't for.
Yeah, well, I haven't heard any, but it's an animal.
So let's keep pushing MTO.
Yep.
See if they can move this,
Guardrail.
Do something, yeah.
do something with the guardrails or do
Yeah.
something, because it's narrow there where they gotta turn.
I think
And then
that's
approve,
the best.
and approve the school bill.
Yeah, I really like this.
So if you want to approve, we can do that now, if you want to do the
Yeah.
consent. So there are just a couple of things with the consent. The schedule of conditions. The,
The noise, I don't,
the noise and vibration, now we can waive that. Council has the option to waive that requirement because they're within the 300 meters, so they would need an acoustical study. But because of the existing residential uses, it's kind of not really,
Well, it's because of the train. or
yes,
what?
the train.
Because of the
Train and
highway.
highway, both because they're within, but it looks like on his sketch, it's 75 meters to the property line from the railway. So I'm not sure how far back the school would be set, the building itself,
That's the
so.
standard, 75 meters.
No, that's what they have.
Oh.
Ours is, it's 50 meter up to, so if it's within 50 meter, they need the noise and vibration study, but if it's within 300 meters, there's the option for, we could require an acoustical study for sensitive land use, and this falls under that. So, but council also has the
like
option.
school is 8:30 there to 3:30 there, and you might see a train maybe once.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
We can waive those studies, right?
Okay, yes, we can.
Okay, good.
We've done it in another property, in Webwood, that they were gonna build a house, and we, waived that, requirement.
Okay.
So when we dealt with streetlights, we're talking 2 years, right?
The last one, you know what, didn't take that long. I sent the application in, so we got the one done at the top of Walford Road, and we put the one at Waterfalls Road. And they were within 8 months. Because they just apply to MTO, and then, once that approval is received from MTO, then we just go through Hydro and get a contractor and have them put up, as long as council approves the location and.
Once we figured out how to do it right, it didn't take long.
No, it wasn't, I got the
It
application.
took forever to get a streetlight.
Well,
to
it was,
go.
we were going through the wrong people to get the actual,
The
lighting in,
application.
but once
Yeah.
we
Those
figured
applications
that out,
that
it
started
didn't take long at all.
Dropped,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd like to see us work on a streetlight there as well, and that's for safety for everybody. That's a poor intersection with that overpass situation and the rock cut on the other side. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go.
That's right, you're right.
And if you have to pull off into that thing, you're gonna go right through the guardrails, because there's no way at highway speed you can make that corner.
Yeah.
But with some lighting there, I think that would be one step of due diligence.
And if we can petition for the guardrail to be extended further back, then
Was this, yeah, they changed the section to the guardrail there this spring here because it was damaged there on Beans Commons. Somebody tried to turn the corner.
And even coming east to west, the light there would, you can't even see the turn off till you're almost upon it to turn onto River Road when you're going east to west. So the light there would help both ways, I'm sure.
Okay, be it resolved the consent application file number C-21-11 is applied for by James Sauter be provisionally approved this 22nd day of September 2021. The land and subject application is proposal land in the township of Victoria, section 35, plan 53R-14563, part 9. Purpose of this consent is to allow for the creation of one new lot in the rural zone. Is hereby provisionally approved with the schedule of conditions attached hereto. Road allowance, that if a survey is required, the road allowance is deemed to be approximately 33 feet from the center of the existing roads in front of the land, be severed and surveyed and together with other roads that may be on this existing surveys be conveyed to the municipality at the applicant's expense. Public road and road authority requests that the roads on the applicant's land deemed to be approximately 33 feet from the center of the existing road and approved by the municipality acknowledged as a public road. No deviation from official survey, if required, must not deviate substantially from the application. Administration fee, that $100 administration fee be paid to municipality. No arrears, that no arrears owing to the municipality by the applicant unless payment is guaranteed to the applicant's solicitor. That pursuant to section 65-1 of the Drainage Act, RSO 1990, the applicant is responsible for having the drainage assessment apportioned appropriately where a municipal drain affects the subject lands. Mover and seconder, Pat and Dale, all in favor? Carried. Okay, be it resolved with respect to the proposal for development on property described as Victoria Section 35, Plan 53R-14563 in Part 9, council deemed that the requirements for the noise and vibration study and the acoustical study shall be waived as per Section 3-19-1 of the official plan due to the existing residential uses in the area. Dale, Linda, all in favor? Carried. In regards to bicycles there was 3 young men got hit 2 weeks ago there on Highway 17 there. One got missed, the first one there, the second one clipped there, and the third one got a broken leg, and then the James Sauter's son.
Yeah.
So there's accidents happening on narrow shoulders there.
Fortunately, the shoulders have been worked on.
But that was right where they're putting in the new culvert. Where that accident
Yeah.
happened.
Radon testing.
Radon testing. So I know it's been talked about, but no decision made. I think the best way, if anybody, we haven't really had anybody contact us looking for,
Except for Mrs.
yeah, the only one looking to borrow a detector. I'm not sure how far council wants to go with promoting this or helping people. We could put this as a budget item for next year to purchase the kits. That would actually be the best thing, that they put in their home and they sit for 3 months or however many months they sit and they get samples so they know exactly what needs to be done. But I found some that are roughly like $45 for a kit. So, and then they deal with the company after that.
That's there's
Yeah,
nothing
so we could either provide kits or
Or
a
there's a
portion, like give a, like you get them from us for, $25 and
Yeah.
we'll pick up the other half of it. But I think that would be a budget item, that if we go that way, or do you want us to, because I don't really know what type of detector.
Well, there is a portable monitor that's
Yeah.
similar to what the doctor has.
Yeah.
I used it.
Yeah,
If you go on Amazon,
It's Amazon's choice.
Amazon's choice,
It's
200.
$279.
Yeah, and I mean, we could have that blended out, it's gotta come back,
we'd have
that's
to
the
have
catch.
We could have a sign sheet there.
well, we have to have a deposit.
And there are people quite concerned about this being something that was discovered yesteryear and not, no notification made. So I mean, I've been hearing feedback on that. this came out in 2016, it was told.
I mean, the first I heard was when Dr. Garland brought it up probably 2 years ago,
So
when it first started.
Well, that's
So,
2016 when, that's when it was
Was it?
detected,
Yeah.
I think.
when he
Well, that's
started.
what I was told. I didn't read it, I was told.
System
But
went
yeah.
in and we had to get it modified, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
there is concern. for
Yes,
sure.
and I understood it to be that area that's been defined was defined in 2016, what I was told. But I would like to see us purchase a monitor. I thought we had already discussed it to the point where we were getting one. I thought one was already.
Well, no, it hasn't.
Okay, so I guess I'd like to make a motion that we buy that radon detector monitor with the intention of loaning it out to people in that possible high radon area that have been defined.
To anybody in the township that would like to test their, because I mean, that's a random thing. It just because, like, that's a hot spot for sure. But you can have that occurring anywhere in the township, and I mean.
Well, it's been defined though, Kevin.
Yeah, well, yeah, he defined, the company defined it, and there is a radon patch there.
Well, it was a government, I believe it was a government thing that was done, but I thought I saw.
But that doesn't mean that's the only basement with radon issues. So in having this test, this meter, anybody be able to borrow it, use it for a number of months? It doesn't even take a number.
Less
I
than a
was
week,
gonna
whatever.
say,
Yeah.
they're only buying one, and somebody needs to use it for 3 months, like,
No,
so the next guy waits
I
a
understand.
long
It
week.
doesn't
The
take that
kids
long.
might be the better way too,
Yeah, I
and
think
you're not
that's-
stuck having to take a cash deposit or credit card deposit, find a way to record it as a holder for a unit, but then you have to reverse all those accounting processes when they bring it back.
Yeah.
Where they could buy you a little kit, $40, here you go, you empty the app, you keep it, take your results, do what you
Well,
will.
did they buy it or did we buy it?
We would buy it for 45 and give it to them for 25.
But that's talking budget next year. I'd like to see this start now. I know Mr. Swartz is concerned because he's gonna be closing his windows for winter, and his detection was very, very high, so he's
Then he
concerned.
needs to
But
move
he
forward on
needs to
his
go
own.
to
We're
the
not
next
going
thing.
Well, he
to
does.
give him a mitigation unit for his house.
Totally
That's up to him.
understand, but the neighbors are concerned, and Dr. Garland's been kind enough to loan that out. I feel it's due diligence on our part to have one, and if they're all ratepayers, if somebody doesn't bring it back, then that fee is gonna be tacked on with their tax or however we can legitimately do it. But the main idea is people are in discomfort right now, and I'd like to see them reassured long before our budget is passed next year. That might still be a good budget item, but in the meantime, there's people that are talking, and I'd like to see this solved, or at least to some degree of satisfaction, so they know.
Well,
Right.
if people are that concerned, Dale, that they're not sitting there waiting for us to get a detector to test their basement.
Well,
That they should be
again-
moving ahead
Yeah,
if
but
they're
it's
that
all-
concerned. They
That's
should
right,
do
it's
now.
all a learning episode for everybody. And the big thing right now is if we were aware of this in 2016, maybe we should have rang an alarm back then. I wasn't on council then, I don't know. But for instance, where I grew up for 17 or 18 years, it was tested and it was okay. It gave me quite a bit of relief when Mr. Swartz told me that. But there are people sitting there wondering and waiting. So for the $300 cost to have something instead of Dr. Garland having to lend his out, I mean, as far as I know, it's a 4 or 5 day process with doors, windows closed, there, we're done. We can move on. I feel for that tiny little amount of money, we can give some peace of mind to people that are sure wondering right now what's going on.
But we could do the same thing, ordering those kits. It probably wouldn't take any longer for those kits to get here, have a kit per household, and then it's their responsibility to set the kit up in their homes and do the, whatever needs to be done.
And they would get to retain the evidence to produce, to
Yes.
go to the next level of getting it taken care of. Could we get some kids in without waiting?
Well, the thing is, if we wait
Yeah.
for budget this summer, and from what I've read and what I've been
I
told,
don't wanna wait for.
that's right, windows have to be closed for this to operate. We're getting our heating season, perfect opportunity.
This is not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I mean, the only thing with the kits is that might be an ongoing cost, whereas purchasing a meter might be one purchase. And so you have to weigh that. I mean, yes, the kit, cheap, here you go. No, we've tried to help out in our repairs and solving these issues. But then we have to purchase another one for the next guy that comes in. And like I said, it's not just limited to that area.
No.
Well, that's the area that's a hotspot right now. that we know of.
It is.
So that's the area, and that's why I said that I'd like to see
Yeah.
those residents
Now,
have
we
the
need
opportunity.
something now, I agree, Dale.
Okay.
Like,
But you want to spend $300 on a protector,
yeah,
or how many kids can you get at $45 a kid for $300?
But you can also recover
6.5.
50% of that sale back.
Well,
Get 6.5 kids.
so there's 6.5 houses covered instead of only one.
Okay, and we wait till next year when people have to open their
No, I
windows.
mean,
No,
you
no,
can
no,
get
no,
that
no.
many
She
now.
said,
Yeah, we
The
can
council
order
wants to
them.
approve the purchase, because it's outside of budget, for now, to purchase, say, 10 kits.
How long do these kids take? I know nothing about them. How long do they take to give us a reading?
They put them in for their 3 months or however to know what their levels are. So they know what they have to do to, if they need mitigation.
I'm not familiar with that at all. I thought the easiest thing would just be to get that meter.
Again, if they're that concerned, Dale, I really think they need to be going out and doing that
Yeah,
themselves.
I thought Mr. Schwartz was going to be calling in a guy from Toronto.
he did, he came to the township.
And the always,
Have the meter to compare the readings of whatever meter we were supposed to have to the results of the testing, so.
Well, the last time I talked to Mr. Schwartz, he was going to be contacting the guy in Toronto to come and take care of his home. If it cost him $5,000, he said it wasn't worth the worry, he'd spend $5,000. Those were the last words that he told me. So I think we should just be getting some kits, making them available for households to have in their household, and then they can figure out how bad their house is.
the kids have seen that.
I'm looking for kids here and I can't find it.
Pension has, offers them. I have
And
printed out.
the kids only good for once.
Yeah, it's for that house, you
Yeah.
use it, and you get your results that sent away, and you get the results for you, specific to your house.
Excuse me, what?
Here's one.
Massey's on the river water there, and you got this Salvo River, so.
$30 kit, which does CO2 alarms, fire alarms, radon gas detection testing, $30. You can have it in the week.
I said, buy one instrument there, and then there, anybody there in the municipality can borrow it there, take your turn there, deposit there to borrow it there, and make sure it comes back there.
That's what I.
Because
It's,
somebody on the north side was like got the same problem as the south, so.
the doctor's unit, it's bulletproof. You sit it down, and they tell us, sit it in a low spot in a certain room for a day, and then move it around your house.
where's windows closed? Where's
It's
windows?
not complicated. And I
And
mean,
then give peace of mind to these other people there that don't have a clue.
no, whereas you give out a test kit, I'm not sure if they can mess it up. You know what I mean? Mess up the results, say, well, I wanted a test kit, that just didn't work. I'm not sure what the test kits are about, but I know that meter. It's not,
Calibrate that meter.
there's a setting where you do a calibration to start. It does its own calibration.
We've had it at different houses where we have to send it away to
The
have.
doctors have been to 3 dozen places to find out.
Yeah, I don't think so. There's a, yeah.
Well, I want to make a motion then that we buy that one that's called Amazon's Choice.
Well, the one I got here, it's Corinthian Mold, Amazon Choice, $229.
Oh, 229, okay. Yeah, Mr. Schwartz showed that to me, and I'd like to make a motion then that we purchase one for the use of our residents.
The resolution said, be it resolved, we purchase a radon detector to be offered to the residents there to monitor for radon in their homes. It doesn't say 229, 279, it just says to buy one, whatever. You know, do a little research there, get one that's bulletproof there.
Yeah, they're much more expensive, some of them, and I was just happy Amazon's Choice does mean something, it's obviously
Yeah.
the feedback, so there's a small fee. Anyways, I'd like to make that motion.
Kelly, you want to move it there?
I'll second.
Kevin, will second it there? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
procedure? Are we supposed to wait till the end of the meeting, or do we go when our thing's done?
Yes.
Okay.
Or you're
Thank you.
welcome to stay and listen if you want.
How long do the meetings usually last?
So it's over?
Oh, no, it's over.
It depends on the agenda, what's on the agenda.
We still have a few more items, so.
Okay, well, I won't disturb you anymore. Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
Okay, correspondence and vaccine mandate. Everybody read that? Sooner or later, somebody's gonna have to put their foot down there and say, enough is enough. You're dealing with their seniors, you're dealing with the public, you've gotta get to.
I was told yesterday that 4 or 5 people were let go at Eskimo General Hospital.
Mine, so they too.
As far as I'm concerned, it's time for us to make a policy, make it definite, and we want to do something.
Yes.
Well,
And you're gonna have the first shot by the end of the month.
And
The
then
bus is running around right now, doing anybody wants to get on.
I saw yesterday the one in Webwood, they had a pop-up, when I, by the library
the
yesterday.
bus in Massey a couple days ago right at the,
And you got Ford announces today that he's gonna lift restrictions and that you won't even need a vaccine passport in the near future, so, you know, where are we going with this?
I think it's unfortunate that Ford, that's the theory.
Oh,
It's just putting something down from above, and it's instead in small municipalities to enforce mandates,
yeah.
especially in a community as small as ours. I think it's really unfair, and I think it is a political move from above that's forcing the hand of smaller municipalities. It can cause a lot of upright, like we know a lot of unvaccinated people, as many as vaccinated. It's just, I just feel like we're really stuck between a rock and a hard place at being in a community of people we care about and being the bad guy to force you to do this or lose your job. And I think that that's horrible that it's being put on this level when it should be coming from above us.
But most like all of us know the people there that got a letter there, the specialist there to go for the third shot. Your next door neighbor got his here this week. So,
Oh,
hell,
it kills people.
I know, he's already got the 2 there, and he told me to get the 3rd here because of,
And yet my argument is you can get me any advanced vaccinations at all coming with this. So it's still just it's a mishmash, and I think it's just something we want to be really careful about, that we don't become the targets when it's coming from above, or like the mandates.
I believe Espanola just turned down the thought of the town, the corporation of the town turned it down.
They turned it down.
I
They said
think
they're not
they,
mandating.
Sudbury and Elliott Lake Refiner mentioned 3 places I read, I think, less than a week ago.
In Sudbury, if we push it, they have all their alternatives and they're not losing their job. I was talking to a nursing friend that works within the hospital right there. So it's called Jabber Job was their slogan, like if the jabber lose your job. But they said that they actually are working around that was a false news thing, and that they are allowing for the bi-weekly testing.
Yeah, bi-weekly
It's
testing
like,
for-
like,
for health.
the
We talked
testing,
about it before.
the testing is site specific, like I had said before regarding that there's the 3 options, and so whatever you decide, it's facility, basically, so as a municipality, we're on a different level than an actual employee hiring specific people, so we are different in that respect, but we still have the opportunity to institute those 3 options
And I mean,
in our mandate.
it's a health and safety issue for our employees, that's what it is. And I struggle with it at times. I'm vaccinated, I believe in it. And the more I think of it, the more it's like, they don't give you a choice to wear a hard hat at work, do they? Or they give you a choice to wear eye protection or hearing protection.
It's a different form of PPE.
It is.
And an elderly friend of mine said, when polio came out, people lined up for the shot, there was nobody saying, I don't want the shot. It was a
now
life or
they're
death
saying,
situation.
we're lining up like lambs, it's like, good Lord. I just don't get where all this sentiment is coming.
I think we should make a motion or something that all of our full-time employees, part-time employees, and whatever other kind of employees we have,
I think
other than
full-time,
volunteers.
full-time and permanent part-time,
Okay.
because those are people that are working set hours. We could have a policy. I have samples from what North Bay and both Blind River have passed. I have those. If council wants, we can put a policy together and have it, and just kind of follow what others are doing, where they're required to have their vaccination, and then the alternate is the testing. Yes, yes. So this would alleviate the concerns of the fire department, because there's no way we can manage that many people. They're volunteers, they're, you know, so if we have it for permanent, full-time, and permanent, part-time people, that's our staff. Those are the ones that we're gonna protect. And,
And then it includes the clinic people.
that would include the clinic.
And that's what I'm saying, site specific.
Yeah.
Site-specific.
Because in our realm, if you work at a certain location, yes, it's mandated. But if you work at another location where you're not involved with the public, you have your three options. So again, it's very specific in that realm. So as you were saying, full-time, and yeah, you know, so it's like you're actually designating.
And that way your volunteers, you're not
Yeah.
impacting your volunteers, they can still volunteer.
Yep.
Now,
Sounds like a plan.
we have a couple different settings, though. We have our healthcare workers
Yeah.
at the clinic. To me, that requires at minimum twice a week testing. Whereas township office or public works, you could get away with one day
So for
a week, because
Again.
you're not dealing with the public.
our setting, if you're working in a clinic or long-term care atmosphere, then you are mandated to be vaccinated. If you're working outside of that in maintenance or anything else like that, then you have the options. So it's like.
You have the options of the
Yes.
testing.
Yes.
And you don't as a healthcare worker.
Well, no, I'm saying that policy can include that, and that's what I'm saying, there is a, like, the policy,
Site specific.
it's like specific policy, because, you have different realms. that
And let's
you
see
work.
what,
Well, I was just gonna say, well, Blind River's policy said if you're absent for 48 hours or more, you need to test before you come back to work, and then every 72 hours within a work week, or as designated by the operating department in consultation with the clerk's department and public health. That's Blind River's. And so
And it
it's
doesn't
whatever,
specify healthcare.
no, it's just any employee. So if
Because they
you,
don't have a municipal run clinic, that's why.
Yeah.
That's
They
right.
don't, it's the hospital.
and,
What about all the private ones, how would they be,
But
how about the private ones in Blind River? Who would be managing them?
doctor's offices and that. I don't know.
We got chiropractors there, and we got dentists and all that there, how is that?
They're under the health team.
and North Base is the
Yeah.
same, absent for 48 hours or more, testing prior to returning to work every 72 hours within a work week. Areas operating 24/7 or 7 days a week may need to develop alternate reporting procedures. So this is kind of what the others are using. I think it would be, it would capture the times, because we have somebody that only works 2 days a week in the middle of the, like Tuesday, Thursday or something like that. So that person would have to have their test done before they came to the one, not the second day, but then before they came back again, they would have. So once a week, basically, that person would be getting tested.
One sentence of Dr. Cherry Garland's letter says, however, it can take a week after exposure to get a positive test even if infected. So,
True.
Yeah,
so
that is true.
we're dealing with something here that, I mean,
It's
I agree,
volatile.
and I've heard it over and over again, Doug Ford should be doing something about this. Is there anything we can do through the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities to speak as a group? I mean, I really think he should be pushed into this. From what I understand, he's just opened all the halls in Toronto, where they're on their way to being entertained.
We're not gonna push him into anything. I hate to say it, but it's like.
Well, we
that's
still have
why-
to make the effort, that's what we're putting.
That's
this
why
petition
it's
for.
been left to boards and municipalities to deal with.
Which is unfortunate, but that's the reality of it. So, how I've been seeing it and researching it is that if you're involved one-on-one with healthcare, if you're involved with seeing people and stuff, you need to be
Yeah.
vaccinated. If you're not in contact with people all the time, like I say, maintenance, whatever, You're not dealing with the public all the time, you're basically with your crew. And then you can alternate with the testing once a week, or, you know, you have your options. Or the other one is get a
I think
medical
we should be,
certificate.
I think we should be more specific than what Blind River
Yeah.
and the other communities have. We have to take a stand.
And where do we stand liability-wise when somebody does get sick? One of the workers gets sick from another worker that tests positive, and it takes a week for the test to come back positive. Where do we stand on this? We're the employers.
We were on conversation. We paid, just for that.
I mean, there has to be proof that the person's contracted COVID on the job, which is kind of tricky.
Is there
Well, that's right.
a screening that people have to go through every day at the office
Yes.
and that?
Yes.
And that's enforced
All
by
staff.
what, self-screening or?
Yes, it's self-screening.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your
measure-
liability,
That's right.
right there, is
So-
your self-screening tool. If somebody contracted, and that would be your liability, that person's accepting responsibility.
And
That they-
so,
yeah.
as you know, we are on track to do this at the library.
Mhm.
And the CEO has secured that antigen testing
Yeah.
set up, so that then here's your test, you're good to go.
Yeah.
For the people that don't want to get vaccinated. And so I can't imagine it being any more difficult for the township or the clinic to have access to that antigen test.
We have people that are not in contact with members of the public, and they have chosen, if they even have one day off sick, they get the antigen testing, and they're not allowed to enter the building until the result is given and it's sent on the computer, here you go, now you can come in. That's it, they sit and wait in their car, basically.
Well, I mean, that being said, I got a cold a week ago and I
Yeah.
didn't hesitate. I went to the hospital, I got tested.
Yeah.
Less than 12 hours later, I had my results. So, I mean, even if it's a long test, but that antigen testing is available.
That's more to the forefront now because of the three options. The antigen testing is available. And the firefighters, that's a very difficult thing. They're not, you know, they've got their hazmat gear on, they've got all their stuff on, they've got their basic personal protective equipment on when they're at the fire. So I wouldn't want to be testing everybody, you know, like they're suiting up and going, so they're not really, I don't think that they would be affected by that.
I think Pat's brought a good point up regarding what Blind River and elsewhere has done. I think we have to do something, and I think maybe Pat's right, that we have to have something a little bit more stringent. We get an outbreak here, there's gonna be people mad at us. There's gonna be a lot of upset people, and we're gonna have this town upside down, or this town.
We have to be specific.
Yeah.
We have to be specific.
Right, well, Ann said who we should have on the list.
So we can put a policy together, bring it back to next meeting, and council can vote on it, review it, vote. And,
There needs to be a distinction between the clinic though
Yes.
and everybody else. They have to be tested more frequently. What is?
only if they're not vaccinated, you're talking, right? So-
Well, yes,
Yeah.
yes, or.
So why why should they be tested more than,
Because they're healthcare.
but if
providers.
the policy gives the timelines, that should capture it?
And that was 72 hours.
Well, if you've been away for 48, so that's over the weekend, so before you come to work Monday morning,
But do we need to be that stringent, let's say, with you folks or the people of public works? I don't think so.
what's the difference? Yeah. They're out in the public, we're with the public.
Other than still coming into the
If
building.
you want to go 72 hours for everybody, that's fine, but that's 72 hours is the minimum for me for the healthcare.
And that's part of the template, it looks like that's kind of what the health unit provided as a template, was the 72 hours
Okay.
and so.
That's fine by me,
Yeah.
then if you wanted that for everybody, then that's fine.
When I got my second shot, the nurses said, I said, gee, I hope I don't have to wear this mask forever. They said, if everybody get their shots, we could end this thing. So in Mrs. Cherry and Dr. Garland's letter, they're saying, hopefully this should end in a couple of years with some vaccinations. I want to see this end. And if we're just sitting here, again, I'm worried about liability. We've lost one member of our community already. I don't want to see, if we get an outbreak here, we're in big trouble.
Lost two relatives.
You did?
Yes.
So this isn't going away right now, and the 71.8% that was mentioned, but back in October 7th, how come we were climbing up to that and all of a sudden everything stopped? I don't understand it. Then there's talk of people forging cards and everything else, like, come on, what's going on here?
Facebook School of Medicine, that's what's going on.
That's exactly it.
Misinformation.
The algorithm.
And you know what?
feed. Yeah.
People are gonna be mad at us no matter what we do. So it's like, whatever. I would rather see people live and be healthy.
Well, I think people
Or
are
less sick at the very least.
But there's only a small group that will be mad, so the rest will be happy. So
Why?
because the word get out there, it's holy trucks.
Let's take a stand.
You got it, you got it.
You know, education is important again, because even if you have a mask, even if you are double vaxxed, you can still carry that virus and give it to somebody else. So I want to protect somebody else. That's what I want to do. And that's why I have the feelings that I have. If you choose to not have the vaccination, that's your choice. But these are the parameters that you need to do, because we have done that, so we will be around. And that's, if they choose to not, then there is alternatives for them, but these are the alternatives, so you have to accept it. Either way, you have a decision to make, whether you get vaccinated or you take one of the alternative measures. You have a decision.
Derek, policy.
Yeah, we'll get something together and put that to council.
So it's thank you.
Too bad we have to wait 2 weeks.
Yes.
That's
Want
all.
a special meeting?
Yes,
Good.
yes, I would like to have a special
We
meeting.
do.
Yeah,
Get it done.
You see what's going on in BC there, well, their numbers are going crazy. Alberta's under control, Saskatchewan's under control.
Ottawa.
It's just a matter of time there, and it's gonna be in,
They're shipping people from province to province into the ICUs and into step-down beds because they do not have enough ventilators or facilities.
Yeah.
So this is serious, and so we have to, even if you disagree, then that's your choice, but we have to set some specific parameters.
I think we should get it done faster than 2 weeks.
We could soon meet
Well,
even.
I would like that, to have,
We can do a Zoom.
a
Well-
special meeting,
The girls are gonna need some time and are working on holidays right now.
but I don't
Who's
think
on
it's gonna
holiday?
take 2 weeks.
Kim? Oh, we can manage without Kim.
What was that?
We can manage without Kim.
I think it's really
Obviously, we are
important.
Ann here, she's doing very well.
It's important. I mean, the message again is changing daily, but that's through the provincial government. That's not through the health departments. That's through
Well,
our politicians.
And
So we can have a
it's
Zoom
about
meeting.
money right now.
So we can have a Zoom meeting to get this done.
Like the policies.
As soon as Ann's ready, let's.
Yeah. Just let us
we,
know.
She's ready now.
Yeah, I should take that. Okay.
well, when you see your two doctors concerned there, and they're dealing with the people there that got health issues there.
Yep.
And
Well, in my,
And then
my
the flu
opinion,
season's coming.
you're a healthcare worker, sorry.
And that's
We can
what
have
I'm
the brains
saying.
that
If
have
you're
the
working in
shots.
a specific area, that you're always seeing face-to-face people that are compromised,
That's right.
then I think your decision would be very clear. That I would,
Well-
myself personally.
last week, the new cases in Ontario went back down just under 600, just over 600. Thanksgiving weekend, yesterday it's 848 in
Yes.
Ontario new cases.
Exactly.
68 of those cases were in the city of Ottawa itself, 3 or 4 more deaths. So what's that tell you? Who gets together at Thanksgiving? Families. So people are infecting each other just by getting together.
That's right.
We have to take a stand, and it's Doug Ford's stand, and we're not gonna get it. So, yeah, we have to protect our ratepayers here, we have to deal with it.
That's Doug Ford is making the businesses, the policing foundation. I went to 2 restaurants today, and I got carded for my thing, but I didn't get carded for the second piece of ID. I had yours. They didn't ask me enough questions, nothing, and that was at 2 big restaurants in Sudbury. So, you're right, unfortunately, Ford's putting the onus.
And that is
On-
difficult.
Okay, we'll have the same message there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, economic development, anybody got any concern with that? Anyone, sir? Be resolved that tax economic development committee meeting report of September the 21st, 2021 be accepted there. Moving the second, Pat there, needed there, all in favor? Carried.
just have another motion here prepared with regard to the Economic Development Committee with respect to the flower tenders. Does somebody want to jump in, because I don't have a lot of background on that and what we want to do? Yeah.
So the committee recommended that the full amount of flowers, the normal full amount, so the 33 hanging baskets, and all the corresponding barrels and larger planters, all be ordered for the 2022 season. The concern was that, so this year, because of the highway construction, we ordered 25 hanging baskets and then kept the 10 planters and the large barrels. That was all the same, just the hanging baskets. So what we did was we ended up putting the hanging baskets along Imperial Street because the highways are under construction. So for student safety, they could not maintain the flowers all year. The kind of problem was that for 2022, Maxie's looking better for highway construction, but Webwood will probably still be under construction. And also the impression of the flowers on Imperial was not as large as usually is on the highway. So some people from the committee felt maybe the cost of those hanging baskets was not worth what the impression was put out. They were kind of, you couldn't see them as well on Imperial. So the committee suggested that they wanted the full 30 hanging baskets. So the problem is that the student safety with the highway construction being unknown for 2022, and then through the public works crew supervisor and the health and safety committee or the scope, there was concerns of the maintenance. There was concerns that certain people who install the baskets on public works don't have proper working at heights training. The harnesses need to be replaced, and that the weight of the baskets is actually concerning because the ergonomics to put them up isn't great, and they don't really have a proper way of installing them. I didn't know the time, but I guess they stand in the trucks or on the trucks to put them up. That's the only way they can kind of work it. So the alternate that was proposed was that similar to Espanola, the large like concrete lanterns be put out, or order more baskets to put out at businesses. So the committee had requested the full 33 hanging baskets. Where we would put them for 2022 if there's construction is still unknown. So we just wanted that to be brought to light before the whole at the committee meeting minutes were just approved.
If you're driving around there, out there, in southern Ontario, anybody's got the baskets on down, it wrecks. Beautiful all summer there, bloom.
Well, and it's easy made
That's right here.
for the students or for
So what we had done before is the ones that we had in barrels or anything like that, we would supply the fertilizer and that, and the businesses would look after that.
And that's what we do with the town barrels, but we're also suggesting like a couple that would be still maintained by the students or whoever, but the large ones, like Espanola has, that was an alternate to hang baskets. We don't have those right now, so I don't know the ordering process of them necessarily, but we can find that.
What I find surprising is that I understand completely that it's a health and safety issue and you know, and difficult for the students and that, but that hasn't been brought to light any time until this year. It was never brought to light before of difficulty of hanging baskets or the risk involved or anything. It was just a matter of can we get the seeds on time and can we get the order out? So
I think the construction kind of.
I'm glad to hear that, but I'm just surprised that it hasn't come to light in about 6 years, like that I know of. So, yeah.
Well, and I mean, that may be because of the individuals, but that's fine, I totally understand.
Oh, I do too.
So I would say, with the cement planters, we had some, and they were not properly put away. All the soil was left in them, and they all split. Frozen split.
I don't particularly find concrete planters that.
Well, they are nice in Espanola. if they're built properly. So, yeah, but, the thing is that they have to be empty. No, that's the only thing. And the soil can be put into other other beds.
Well, sure, you
You
don't
know,
have to throw it away.
we've got lots of beds that need plant.
Well, they have the preformed molded plastic ones, like that are very industrial, that you could use, that are not as heavy as concrete and that don't absorb the soil.
And they have molded drains in them,
Yeah.
you know.
And they have the drains and that, so that's another thing to look at.
They have basket flag.
They try to.
Yeah,
Right.
where you have more flags, so that, I was thinking, you know, like if there's areas where you can't always have, I just don't know where you're gonna put planters in Leadwood on that highway, besides somebody's front yard, you know, in a library at one end. It would just be a pretty thing that would not be an issue of maintenance. I just don't know if you have enough to spare. If as an alternative or an idea of just doing something else decorative, if the road's all torn up, you wanna keep it easy, and most of the time your eyes do go on the roads. Nice to be an easy solution, buy some more silk cannons.
I'd like to see us eliminate the hanging baskets. I see a lot of liability there for our young people when they take a summer job and they're watering those things 7 days a week. Main drag, Highway 17, wrong person, a cat or a dog jumps out, all of a sudden, somebody's getting mowed down and it's too late, life is lost over a hanging planter. So if we can do it on the ground. You guys already know I'm pretty well dead against flowers at all, but I mean, I can understand the ones on the ground is much more safer. The people we have watering them, like I say, are future generations. I don't want to see anybody hurt.
Yeah, but we can also enhance our beds, we already got land use and deals there. And
Certainly.
So do you want to scrap the hanging altogether
I would like to.
for this year?
I think that's a health and safety issue, I think that's.
And what Edie mentioned about the flags, perhaps we can look into something, and that's something that's still going
Yeah,
on.
Public Works mentioned that, if we had more colorful
Yeah,
flags, we do just have our township in Canada ones, maybe if we spruce it up and got something.
Well, like Espanola did the gentleman that had service, like Eddie.
So I know, and I commented on that, I
Yes.
remember the state ones. they're
Remember,
awesome.
state ones,
Yeah.
they switched it on in November, they switched it on quickly.
Like that.
Excuse me. Could I address you for a second?
Yes, go ahead, you're.
I'm here to represent Flair Fire.
You're late.
Well, we were told to be at the other building.
Township office. Oh.
So, we got there about 20 after 6, because the meeting was at 7 o'clock. And then we found out on the internet that if you go through everybody's phones that I don't have, we found out that this meeting was here at 6 o'clock. So we came over here at about 5 after 7, and apparently you've already gone through Flair Fire discussion. And those two gentlemen were here for that. And so I am representing my son and daughter-in-law. They are downstairs, but they do not have double vaccination, so they can't come in.
And your name,
And-
sir?
Hmm?
Your name, please?
Mark Elliott.
Okay.
My son's name is Matthew Elliott. And Katie is my daughter. And so anyway, if there was any questions that you would like to ask, I could answer those questions. Those two gentlemen, they went out, because I went out because I thought, I wonder if they're here for that. And they went. So they're downstairs talking to my son.
Oh, that's good.
All right? So I didn't know if you guys had any questions or about it?
Their concerns here, is it gonna expand here, what the application is there? And my concern is there, the waste, is it going into our storm sewers, or where is it going? Any waste, when you're just talking about concrete there and you clean stuff, we don't want that to go into our storm sewer there.
No, it would, no. It wouldn't be going into the storm sewer.
Well, that's what we need to know, all these questions are before.
Yeah,
But that'll be part of the application.
Yeah.
There was also concerns about noise, traffic noise, deliveries, you know, the volume of deliveries, what type of vehicles.
there's 2 cement trucks and 1 move. One is like on a Tuesday and the other is on a Friday. 2 deliveries, and there's maybe like a cube van, 20-footer, comes in maybe once, every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. That brings supplies in or takes supplies out. There might be a Manitoulin transport once every 3 months. And again, they're only 40 or not even that, 30-footer, I think.
Well, depending on the size of that, that might be an issue, but if it is, then you'll have to modify how you get to it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a small roadway there. And if there's a tractor trailer coming through, it's like, that's not a good situation.
Yeah.
But you'll have to answer all of that on the application. It was deferred now, and so it's gonna go back to you, for questions. So there'll have to be a written response on that, and then we'll review it again.
Also, nothing is passed.
No,
Well, not as of yet,
no.
yeah.
Nor we didn't say no.
Either.
We didn't say no, we just need clarification on certain things. There is some opposition, like,
Oh, yeah.
some people spoke out against it.
Yeah.
They want their quiet little neighborhood. What you need to do is reassure them that they'll keep their quiet little neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And there was a lot of support as well, even though they didn't all.
What's that?
There was a lot of support verbally as well, that was shared with me.
Yeah, because they canvassed all the properties that touch onto that property.
So it wasn't denied nor approved, it's just gonna go back to you.
It's gonna go back to you for some clarification, for specific answers on some questions that, we have, and so there's been no decision made yet.
Oh, okay. All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry about that there.
What's that?
Sorry about that, we didn't know who you were there.
Yeah, no, that's fine, yeah.
And sorry about going to the wrong building there.
That's okay. At least we found it on the internet.
Thank you. Okay, be it resolved that pursuant to the Economic Development Committee meeting and discussion of September 21st, 2021, and respect to the flower tender 2022, that we eliminate the hanging baskets and increase the flower barrels and the events. Move on. Kevin, Mayor, Anita, here, all in favor? Carried. Be it regards to approval of, be it resolved that payment certificate number 2 in the amount of $94,072.50 to SRS Contracting be approved for the Massey District Community Center and Arena Building repairs.
The motion.
Dale, you'll move it, Jeff?
Yes, please.
And Glenn, you'll second it, Jeff? All in favor? Carried. Do you want to give it to Palisando? Or the phrases here? In regards to Walford Cemetery fencing, how many graveyards have we got there? Lots of them need fencing there. So whatever we do at one year, the other people are gonna ask for the same thing, or, so we gotta decide there's something there that looks good. when you start talking 30,000, 35,000.
My suggestion was we just we fabricate some panels to fill in what's missing. And whether we have to juggle them from one side to the other, or whatever we have to do, but fill in those panels so at least the grounds are secured and it's gonna look attractive again. That's a lot of money to spend. I mean, maybe we have to spend it someday, but some of what's up there right now has still got enough integrity to make it a few more years. And the ones that are missing, I think, are from vehicles leaving the road, as far as I know. So I think we should replace those. If we could replace those, I think it would tidy it up and it would be the right thing to do without spending $35,000. And I had suggested that we maybe take that one fellow out of our extra gang and have him fabricate right in our shop just to see how much it would cost. I know he's capable. We could do it in the shop, put him up, drive him down to the truck and bolt them on, and by the end of week 1, we've already got one side looked after.
So my question is, it says, as for the funeral, burial, and cremation services Act 2002, we can only use the income or interest earned from the care and maintenance fund. And it doesn't cover the cost of this project. So any repairs or anything that we do, am I correct in saying that we cannot go above it, of what's allowed?
Well, we have to
We
get
can't
this
just
money
put
from
it
somewhere.
tax dollars into the account. We're just
Okay.
gonna budget as count. Great. Which I think it's, Dale, I understand what you're saying about Jerry Ray and moving and that. This has been going on for quite some time. And I think we just need to repair these fences and, yeah. And be done, because like you said, then there's other cemeteries to move on to, like, I was just in Lee Valley with Denelda, and the posts are rotten and they're just a cage wire fence. And you know what, that cemetery is very nice,
Yeah.
cemetery. It's, those fences were beautiful at one time, I'm sure, but unfortunately, nobody donates to a cemetery board or anything like they did back then to provide that for those cemeteries.
True enough.
So for safety issues and longevity, I think, like brand new and immaculate are chain link fences, and they're starting to show somewhere now that they have been chain link fences forever, and I don't think those look terrible either.
So was the Bosch Lake Road Cemetery.
Yeah, yeah.
So on the highway, I think
Yeah.
people were concerned with,
Yeah.
you know, what we have there, and then the chain link fence is a poor, you know, if you had chain link on one side and that ornamental metal on the other, everybody would like the ornamental metal.
Yeah. Well, I think that we would probably look at doing them both, if we're gonna, and like we said, we still have the option to remove those nice metal signs and get those fixed up to put back over the.
I just thought it would be a matter of just hundreds of dollars spent on putting some of those panels in to fill it in so it's closed off again. That's all I was looking at.
And I think even since I've done this report, we've had a vehicle hit someone and take them out already, so we're even down more.
Mhm.
And it looks terrible for a graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the days of big, huge families and lots of support for the cemetery is past.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we have to do something that's gonna be aesthetically pleasing, but economical at the same time.
Not only that, the government has changed all the
Yeah.
rules too, so.
Yeah.
And like and this was just some of the information I had and contacted MG. But like there may be other fencing, like we want to move forward with something, I just want something so I can get some information for like when we start our finance committee meetings and make this a capital item budget for 2022.
Well, yeah, we have local contractors we can talk to about this as well.
Yeah.
It'd be a
Or,
far cry
yeah,
cheaper
however
than
we want to go
fence.
about it, I just, if you want to do it like as an RFP, kind of,
The stuff we did at LaPlace Road Cemetery was all ordered through home hardware. It was, I guess, residential style galvanized tubing.
I think and this is kind of why it was at Public Works, but I'm going to be away from the next Public Works meeting, and I wanted to know how council felt about all of this, so we can put it on this agenda. But I think it was something Public Works doesn't want to have to take the time to install the fencing.
So I think we would contract out the whole project.
Well, as
That's
far
the
as,
impression I got, I
yeah,
could be wrong
I got
there.
the same impression, but as far as those panels go, I mean, that's what looked like the easiest fix was for me, was to take a measurement, buy the material, which is local, put it together, paint it, put it up there, case closed, it's done, and if it lasts another couple of years, or whatever, until we find funding, or decide to dedicate some funding, but right now, it's not nice the way it is. What is there, 7 or 8 panels gone now?
Quite a few people.
I just thought for a trial run, if we took 2 panels and built them,
Yeah.
and knew at the end of the day how much it cost us in labor and materials, is it worth it to do it that way? Because let's say those fences were brand new right now and somebody went through, wouldn't we just take Public Works, or in this case of this fellow we got already at Wells, wouldn't we just send them out there, take some measurements, buy some steel and replace it? If we had 1 panel gone, that's what we do, wouldn't we? That's all my point was let's see, we can't guess how much it's gonna cost. It's the same as those garbage cans I asked us to get 3 more of, like, it's a whole big rigmarole to figure out how much that's gonna cost, and we won't have them. I don't know if anybody's price cost the road or anything, but we've got a couple galvanized cans in town, we're talking about beautification. Those galvanized cans with half a mile of garbage bag outside of them doesn't look appealing to me. But again, it's the process we've gotta go through, so I just thought that if we have Gary throw 1 or 2 of those panels together, and the next one we say, well, it costs this much. Should we finish off with the repairs and it's done this year? That's all I was getting at. Or whatever, that's just my.
Well, there's a few completely gone now, so it couldn't just be 1 or 2.
No, I understand, but I just looked at it as a trial to see, and then we know when it was done, how much it cost, how many hours, the whole
I
nine.
can, might as well break the bullet and put steel post in there and a good fence there and done.
That's, yeah.
That's all I
Then
think.
we're not looking at it again.
Isn't that what Foothills wants to do?
Right?
Is that what Foothills wants to do, steel posts?
Well, that's where you go, don't put wood in there.
Well, and they're talking about the high-end paint, which means you don't have to go and address it every 2 years, so that's a good idea as well.
I think that's
It's costly, but it works.
worth the labor that you're gonna save with your public works crew. Yeah.
And we're just dealing with the front, from the top here, on both sides.
Yes, yeah,
So
that's not any of the other perimeters.
Yeah, he says about reconditioning the existing signs and reinstalling them. Yeah.
So that's the thing, we can go that way, or we can totally replace. I just want to know what we.
Yeah, I know, yeah, gotta make a decision. Yeah.
That's my feeling there. Wasn't doing Band-Aids with it, mess up light post there, and a wire there, budget, get it in, get it
Have
run
a
straight.
contractor install it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's no second other contractors out there.
Well, when it comes closer to
Yeah, yeah,
budget, I can send this out to the
whoever.
Foothills, M&G, I can do that all again. 'Cause this, like, all this information is old again. So,
Yeah, because they only give a quote for 10 days.
Yeah.
So we're putting it on hold? So budget?
Well, unless you want to do it right now, and find the money somehow.
Well, my concern was when I spoke to M&G, and I'm sure it's the same thing with Foothills for supplies, for steel, everything is still
Jumping all
high.
over.
And they anticipated to go down, like he says, he can't guarantee that it's gonna go down, but he thinks in the spring. So I was thinking, we're already October, this might as well be a 2022 project. And wait, and like I said, we
agree.
can, I agree with that too. And then hopefully it isn't as much come that
Get
time.
it done in the springtime and be good.
And we've had really good, work from that company, Energy. They did all around the park of the Memorial Park, after the playground area.
Yeah.
Up by the Village Park.
So we're still not really sure of it, so it would be a total replace then?
I believe it
Which
would
one
be.
we fix it, right?
For the highway, you have to, you just have to, yeah.
And would we we want to do them both Catholic and Protestant at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't say one gets better than the other.
They both get the same.
Yeah.
So then we're gonna have to budget next year for that cemetery that you viewed with Mrs. Kennard as well, right? We'll have to take a look at all the cemeteries and budget for
Well,
next year.
yeah. Or, and that could be something that's brought up in finance, yeah.
Yeah.
This is something we need to take a look at, because they do tend to be forgotten.
Yeah, because there's also the ones in Redwood.
Yes.
Two in Redwood.
Okay, anything else?
Just finishing this up, like, and then that's all. Does that sound all right?
Before we just pass this there, just do, well, instead of just naming the two there, maybe we should be looking at them all there. And maybe there's one that is falling down there completely there. Addressing all there, and then
I agree.
I'm thinking we might get a better rate if we take a look at them all and then say this is your project, you know?
There is a bigger project.
Well, have a look, I mean,
Yeah.
Others may not need such extensive.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's fine, just I have to take care of our cemetery.
And I'd appreciate if we involve all of our local contractors. Henry Autocar put all the fencing up till here. I helped him, it's still standing.
Wow, yeah, if we can find some, we can get to.
The local contractors that I'd like to see is attempt to support on this. Foothills is one of them.
And we do have, over the years, there's our care and maintenance funds for the cemetery and then for markers. There has been like accumulated operating budgets set aside from the sale of plots, and we actually pay our cemetery's interest because we hold the money in our general bank, so that was kind of our rate. It's an excessive amount in my mind. And then it was also just quickly mentioned by the auditors that even though we are earning, we can use the interest earned, if we don't use all of that in the operating in that year, that is to go back into care and maintenance and not to be used. So maybe that wasn't 100% happening, so.
So we have some,
Yeah, so there is a little bit of extra funds, but I would, yeah. Eventually, the cost of operating cemeteries is the municipalities, so, yeah. So,
if there's anything left over to be buying a new gate there, or needed there.
yeah,
All the other little things.
yeah, no, I'd love to see us look at all of them and get them fixed up.
Okay, be it resolved, the treasurer be authorized to add replacement fences to the 2022 capital budget for all cemeteries. Then, Dale, on to you. Carry. Anybody got anything else for me?
I got a couple of things. Mr. Crabb indicated that he hasn't received his reimbursement yet for that tire that was damaged, on Lost Lake Road. Now that's May that took place. So I don't know, as far as I think Kim said that that was something that was sent into our insurance company. So he called me with that question. So I'm asking if we could look into that, please, because it's many months now. I'm adamant that we push for a street light at that intersection of Walford to protect our residents. So what do we have to do, put that on the agenda for next meeting to okay that?
Going to look into it as far as I know,
We
MTO.
should look looked there at first, but you know, I said, where the hydro wires are there? I don't know even know if they're in there.
Close by.
Yeah, we need to see if there's a pole there first.
Yeah, because you've got to start adding a bunch of poles to get to that corner.
Well, we've got people that live right just around that corner, but anyways, okay,
Yeah.
I do believe it would be, certainly not a convenience, it would be, certainly a safety, improvement. And then John Mooney's information.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, did anybody
So-
else get that?
So that took place July 2020, is when this started. As the letter indicates, the drain was 1.5 feet lower than the ditch. It cost him $368.15 an acre to plant that field, which he lost, and that ends up being about 85% barley and 15% straw. And that's over the 13 acres. It comes out to a matter of $4,785.95.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering what we're gonna do with that, because I feel that the guy did give us due notice on it. And I know that we had our Public Works lead change hands and on, but that was a little bit before this. So we had from July 2020 to deal with this, so we're just dealing with it right now as far as changing the elevations of those ditches and culverts. So this man is out some money, and he runs a very big dairy farm, and he needs all his fields for the feed for those animals. So what are we gonna do about that?
I thought you wanted taxes covered off that land.
Well, he didn't request that this time.
That's in my letter.
Hey?
That's in my letter.
It is?
That's the letter I got.
Yeah. Well,
But what are the taxes on 13 acres? Not much.
well, did he mean for his tax bill in general? What I read, I didn't read it that same way. I understood it to be this 13 acres at the $368
Well, that was the
and 15
focus
cents.
of the letter, right?
So if it said about
He
his
was looking
taxes,
to recoup his costs.
so I mean, he's got more than taxes on 13 acres. So that's why I didn't think he was talking about a savings of his 13 acres of taxes. I thought what was meant there was he could recoup it by us eliminating this amount from his taxes. That's what I thought. I'm all in favor of it. He did take a loss, and maybe we should have jumped on this last year instead of this year.
I
Here we are in
think we should
October.
revisit the letter and reread the letter, because Linda says the same thing
My
I do.
duty, it says here, my duty as a taxpayer in this municipality, apart from having my say in who represents us on council, is to pay my tax bill. So the township can perform the duty. If I am negligent on paying my tax bill, there are financial consequences. And so the duty of the township is to perform the duties which I pay for, one of which is to maintain the municipal drain.
Was that only sent to council, or was the clerk given a copy of that
I
letter?
got
Because
it,
I
I
know
got
absolutely
it, my
nothing about.
personal email.
I got it
I
personally.
I got a
got
personal
it early or 11 o'clock.
So if someone could forward that to me, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, I can't do it right now.
No,
Yeah, so my iPad.
Oh, I didn't see who it was sent to, but I.
But what are the taxes on 13 acres of farmland?
Well, I'd like to hear what Glenda says about that, because I didn't,
Are we saying he pays his taxes there?
He pays his taxes because as our farmland taxes will increase 30% every year for a 4-year period. He's going by the FPAC, of course. We need to use every means possible. He's just stating his case, you know, and the profitability of his land. And he just wants a response from the township. And he says the lack of response from the township shows that negligence on their part. And this is the letter that was sent previous to the one that he sent this time.
again, I didn't see it where he just said he wanted his taxes lifted for 13 acres.
It was May 18th when he sent the previous letter, and then we received the other letter now. So the lack of response from the letter that we had received in May to now is he's asking basically, have we made a decision? Have we even looked at it? That kind of thing.
Like he said, he appreciates our action in repairing the drain.
Yes.
But, you know, he's looking for a response to his request for compensation for lost revenue or whatever, not revenue, but it basically is costing planting that field because he didn't get any yield.
So he,
Did he get any yield though?
No, unless he was trying to grow wild rice.
Okay.
Could be hard.
he said the lack of proper drainage in the field resulted in it being flooded in August with enough damage that there was not enough yield to warrant the cost of harvesting the field. So he did not
Right.
harvest the field. Yeah,
I'm in favor of compensation.
So am I.
yeah.
Hopefully review the file first.
Yeah.
before
Yeah,
we
that's
jump
fair.
to the-
Exactly, yeah.
And he
Like,
said
I mean,
he's
you
contacted.
need to see it. Yeah, you need to see it.
Yeah, I know, I was like, what is this?
It's fairly detailed, it's based on the price of barley and straw.
Yeah. There was some different categories, so I called them to clarify it so I would know. And it wasn't barley only, it wasn't straw only, it was a barley and straw combination midway down on that cost sheet that's set up by the Ontario
Yeah,
Agricultural Board.
and it was feed
Plus
barley.
insurance that he paid,
Yeah,
crop insurance.
And depreciation.
yeah, and like Kevin said, it was feed barley because there was another category as well, which is maybe the drinking barley.
It was quite a detail.
It's all the same, it was all the same cost for farm.
Yeah, so that was May 18th until the one I received on Sunday.
Yeah, but it was July 2020 that this started, that was his first letter.
His first letter was actually May 18th.
We missed the boat.
I have it.
2020?
Yes,
Okay, well, I know we spoke of the July 2020
he
letter.
was talking about the issues in a whole week now. So it's just the continuation from May 18th, 2020 to now. is-
I mean, we missed the boat
A trail,
last year
yeah.
for a variety of factors
Yeah.
and it's being repaired now, but I think it's claimed as done.
Yeah.
So,
But what disturbs me there is we give that tender there to Bobby Mayo for $20,000+. I was talking to Bobby today there, that culvert had been lowered 14 inches on Township Road. He dug that drain there to the engineer specs. There's 8 inches of water laying in that drain. He phoned the engineer and told him, and the engineer said there's no way there's 8 inches of water laying in that drain. Bobby said there is 8 inches in that drain. That's totally unacceptable, because it ain't getting flowing out. So the engineer better get his act in gear. I don't know if Bobby's gotta go back and redig there, or what you gotta do there.
they don't live in the real world, those guys.
Engineers?
Right.
No, they're like consultants.
I know, but that's not what we're paying for. Like,
Unfortunately, when we do a project, we have to have it engineered.
oh, I know, there's no way around it, I know that.
Yeah,
But let's
it's
get some
difficult.
good work here. Let's not smoke and mirrors and talking to us from 100 miles away saying, oh, well, that's the way that can't be. Well, you know, get over here and confirm the
Yeah.
situation. Where's our
Really
drain,
noted.
where's our drain superintendent? You know, how many times did we ask to see him before council this year? He never showed up once.
I think for things like this, we really have to have like a field engineer, somebody who's actually going to go out in the field and look at things instead of looking at, pictures and topographical maps and whatnot. They really have to get out there and look. Yeah, and
For
work
every
in
little thing,
conjunction
but
with
in
the
case like
contractor.
This obviously wasn't engineered properly in the first place. So let's get it right.
There may have been a mistake made somewhere, but it's
Yeah.
showing up in that field.
Well, if you gotta go back and redig it, then you gotta dig the culvert out, re-lower it.
Yeah.
It cost $20,000 to dig it the first time, you're gonna spend another $15,000,
More
$20,000.
than 20 less, more than
Right.
20.
Well, just using 20 is a number, a simple number.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bobby was talking to the engineer and told him there, I don't know what happened.
Was that John? John Lindley that he spoke to?
I don't know who he was talking to there today, he said the engineer involved in that.
Well, maybe our office, we get a hold of him and find out that matter, find out what's going on.
John was there.
Well, I mean, I trust Bob Mayhew if he says there's 8 inches of water, there's 8 inches of water.
They're the ones
Because
who
you're
drive on the ground.
You're defeating the purpose there for tile drainage and watering the.
That's right.
Anything else, anybody?
I guess the public works meeting got canceled.
Yeah, there wasn't a quorum.
I was sick, but there was correspondence from the people on Pass Point Road. Did
Yeah.
everybody get
I
that?
saw that, yeah.
So I guess that's just deferred to
Yeah.
a later date until we can discuss it at public works.
And get more information.
Well, yeah, there's a whole lot of
A
information.
lot of nothing there.
No, I know. They want us to get quotes and there's no
no information.
I don't get it.
Jacques and I did a little road ride and put the agenda together for this meeting that did get canceled due to lack of quorum. And we did go to Bass Point Road and we agreed that some gravel would be good. We planned on talking about it at the public works level. There's a few dips and whatnot that could be eliminated with some gravel, and the road isn't too bad. I mean, I'm not saying it's certainly not the best seasonal road we have, but we did agree that some gravel would remedy a little bit of the winter snow removal for them and give them a safer road. And that's one thing that was going to be mentioned in public works.
But they're still looking, they're looking to upgrade that road.
Well, I realize that, but Jacques and I discussed, okay, what can we do to make this a good seasonal road? And the thought of gravel was something that we agreed on and we planned on presenting to public works the last week.
So it wasn't committal to year round then?
No, it wasn't. It was
Okay.
about us
I
putting.
just want that to be clear.
You said we were going to discuss at the meeting,
Yeah.
put some gravel down there before winter.
But if the first corner was kind of removed somewhat there, the hill's not bad.
The hill's not bad. Jacques has a few ideas. One little spot, he's already moved the road over a little bit with the machinery, and I thought his idea was good. And like I said, we came away from it thinking if council allows us to spend a bit of money on gravel, we can do that, and it's certainly going to enhance it for this year. I don't know if, I thought maybe they'd ask for delegation to come here tonight. I didn't know what had been planned, but our meeting was canceled. So.
The bottom line is they're still looking to bring that up to standard and absolutely.
Yeah, they're looking for year-round access.
And we looked at the turnaround, there's things that need to be done, but again, we'll discuss it at public works, so it's not fair not to have it off here.
No, you're right.
It's, everything's possible, Kevin, and Jacques and I agree that the township is evolving. There's a huge tax base coming from that area right now, and there'll only be more if that happens, but it's not as though it's a travel path that we're trying to turn into a road. So some gravel this year isn't gonna be wasted. I mean, it's going to enhance it, the safety and the ability for them to plow it, and with a few less dips. I thought that would be, considering it's October already, I thought that's something we can do at this point in time and definitely alleviate some of the problem for their snow removal.
When we did this storm sewer here, did we contact all the landowners there, let them know what we're doing?
Doesn't sound like it. I heard, I wrote it, I didn't mention it, but I was told that Mrs. Sonnenberg was quite upset because the machine drove across her property. Now, is that what you're talking about?
We're talking about more than that.
Okay, that's the only thing I've been made aware of.
Anyway, I hope to hear we don't get involved in buying my gosh darn subdivision there for the 10th year, we cost some people's property.
Okay, but all I heard was her property was passed on. I mean, I'm sure they got the maps to know. Again, I'll speak to Jacques about it.
That's cryptic conversation.
Yeah, I hate
I
that.
don't like that when
What's
you're
cryptic?
insinuating
Hey,
something,
you don't know,
just
you
come
know
out and
what
say what
you're
you're gonna
talking
say.
about, and the mayor knows what he's talking about, and the rest of us know nothing.
I don't think
Very
that's
important.
very professional. You need to come out and say what you need to say, and if it has to be enclosed, then so be it, let it be enclosed.
Yeah.
But, I don't like this cryptic conversation that goes on. People are viewing this, and, you know, I really,
I don't understand cryptic
well,
conversation.
because you both are having a conversation regarding an issue that we have
I
no
answered
idea.
the mayor's question.
The rest of council has no idea what you're talking about.
And what did you say?
I said that I was told that the landowner upset about trespass.
Yes.
That's what I said.
There's no address.
So we're gonna have to look into it there.
Yeah.
And it's still pretty.
Bash your head against the wall, Linda.
Yeah,
Well, we didn't have a public works meeting, and I didn't hear about it until after the public works meeting. It was just heard about it a couple of days ago.
yes, yeah. But you could elaborate. If it was a public work meeting, it wouldn't be in camera, so you would be able to say what you're gonna say. That's what I'm saying. So you don't need to be cryptic about it. Yeah.
Anything else, sir? Okay, be resolved, the time is 8:40 PM there. And this meeting is adjourned until next regular meeting, I call the chair. All in favor?
Please have Paul turn the heat on.
Oh, great.
We need a mover and a seconder.
Mover, Pat, and Glendon there.
But when you say 8 inches of water in, like, where the culvert is, just if I'm speaking to John.